As the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles, First Trust is contractually obligated to talk in football metaphors. By offering new ideas and clearing the path forward, we're like a brotherly shove for your bottom line. So, when you're ready to challenge your bank, know you can literally sign First Trust today. First Trust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Where else can you roll the dice, spin the wheels, enjoy a variety of dining options and entertainment in Fishtown? Look no further than Rivers Casino. Take a chance on our $15 table games where the stakes are high and the fun never ends. From blackjack to craps to Spanish 21, we've got something for everyone. So what are you waiting for? Roll into the excitement with $15 table games at Rivers Casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Go green! For over 100 years, West Pharmaceutical Services has embraced commitment to sustainability for an evergreen planet. During the 2024 Eagle season, West is once again partnering with the Eagles for its Field Goal Forest program. With each successful field goal kicked this season, the Eagles and West will plant 30 trees. West is a proud sustainability partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles and West, by your side for a healthier world. Learn more at westpharma.com/Eagles.
Golden Nugget Jewelers is where Philly gets engaged. Why? Because Golden Nugget carries famous designers like Tacori, Verragio, and many more. And with the largest inventory of loose diamonds around, they can also help you create your own design. Golden Nugget has the best price guarantee, a lifetime upgrade policy, and jewelers on site for same-day repairs and cleanings. Their friendly, family-oriented staff will make you look and feel like a hero. Golden Nugget Jewelers at the corner of 8th and Chestnut or at goldennuggetjewelry.com. It's where Philly gets engaged.
Did you know one of the world's fastest growing fintechs is right here in Philadelphia? Meet FreedomPay, the next level technology reinventing the world of commerce. We are a network of winners, which is why we're proud to be a partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Get to know us. We will show you technology that can transform your business. Or come work with us and become part of our global team. FreedomPay.
94 WIP HD1 Philadelphia. Sports Radio 94 WIP presents the Eagles Radio Network. Saquon Barkley went off.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 70 yards. Shot out of a cannon.
And the Eagles left Los Angeles victorious.
There's so much more out there for us to go out there and do.
Today, they arrive in Baltimore to battle the Ravens. Today's game is sponsored in part by PNC Bank, Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey, PDQ Restaurant Point of Sale Systems, your Delaware Valley Honda dealers, Verizon, and Piazza Auto Group. You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865.
Welcome to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. And boy, do we have a big one today. The 9-2 Eagles off of 7 straight victories. The 8-4 Ravens, 2 of the top contenders for the NFL MVP award, 425. It's the game of the week. And who knows, maybe it's the first of 2 these teams will have each other on the schedule this year. And I'm talking about Super Bowl 59, which we can talk about with some confidence with a 9-2 football team. Good afternoon, Hugh. Elliott will join us live from Baltimore coming up in a few minutes as we get set for one of the games of the year, the Eagles and the Ravens.
Good afternoon, Joe. I'm so excited for this game. Can't you tell? I'm all
I can feel
excited and boisterous, loud and boisterous. It's going to be a good game, man. It's going to be a really good game.
Well, and it's one, there's a lot on the line, Hugh. Sometimes you have these games where it's a cross-conference game, right? It's like, all right, there's not as many things on the line as if you're playing an NFC contender because you're not talking about direct head-to-head or a direct seeding thing. But, Hugh, there is a lot on the line. Let's set the stage for the biggest things on the line. Let's start with the overall team goals. Hugh, and that's the goal the Eagles have of clinching the NFC East and getting as high of a seed as they can get. Now, unfortunately, as we were all either in the middle of our Thanksgiving meal or about to have it or maybe finishing it, the Detroit Lions escaped on Thursday. They were this close to at least going overtime.
Lost his job, deservedly so. I mean, I hate to say.
Oh, he deserved to be fired.
Yeah, because, I had a little money on that game, and way that he handled that clock management towards the end, man, that was horrible.
Yeah, it was horrendous.
I would have had serious bragging rights if I'd have came in here on Monday.
Well,
they got that game.
And the Eagles would be in position to take over the 1 seed if the
would.
Lions had lost. Now
it's
they
not
didn't.
just about me. It's about
it's about the team. It's not just about your wallet. It's about the team. All right, so Hugh, the path to the 1 seed is not impossible. In fact, it's still there, but it just got harder, right? The Lions had a game. They kind of almost gave it away, but they ended up winning the game. So here's what's on the line today. If the Eagles finish 15-2, which means winning out, and the Lions go to 15-2, the only way the Eagles would win that tiebreaker is if the Lions lose to the Packers this coming Thursday. So tiebreakers are becoming challenging. It may take the Eagles jumping the Lions, like getting one full game over them to get the 1 seed. So although this isn't an NFC game, Hugh, I consider it a huge game. If our goal is the 1 seed, you got to win as many games as you can, because I don't know how many Detroit's going to lose. They have 1 loss the whole year. I think they're probably going to drop a game, but are they going to drop 3 more? I don't think so. Maybe 2 more. So, every win matters now.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And it's unfortunate that the game against the Chicago Bears went the way that it went.
Yep.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think they see them again.
They do in Chicago.
So it's a chance that they're gonna get a chance to get another bite or get another opportunity to beat them. So it's one of those games right now where the Eagles just have to keep pace. If you want to be in the hunt for the number 1 seed, you can't afford to lose a game right now.
Well, you can't. And the Eagles have done an incredible job of just winning and winning and winning 7 in a row, including last week when we saw against the Rams in Los Angeles. And here, the other subplot today, and we'll talk a lot about in the show today, and again, Eliot will join us live from Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium in a little bit, is the MVP race. Because we get to watch 2. Right now, it feels like there's 5 real contenders for the MVP, right?
And we got one of them.
And we got one. And they have one as well. So the 5 contenders right now, Josh Allen is the current betting favorite of FanDuel. Second's Lamar Jackson. Tied for 3rd, Jared Goff and Saquon Barkley. And then right below them is Patrick Mahomes, whose team won a wild one on Black Friday. But Hugh, we have Saquon here. And today is going to be fun for this reason. We have Saquon, who's running as well as any back maybe ever. I mean, he's on pace to break the record that Eric Dickerson has held for years and years and years, since the 80s. But we, on the other side now, have to see the number 1 rush defense in the NFL in terms of yards per carry. So this is strength versus strength today. Here's Saquon Barkley against a defense that is as good as anybody at stopping the run. This is going to be fun.
Yes, it is, man. And this is the kind of games that you want to play in if you're a defender. You want to play in those kind of games where you can validate what you've been working hard for, man. This team has heard a lot about, how good they aren't.
Yep.
And how they've been playing tomato cans. Now you get to play a good team. And you've been playing well. You've been flying around. Now you get to show everybody else what you already knew, that you're a pretty darn good football team. You can go out today and prove it.
Well, and the cool part about today is both of these teams, I think, look at themselves as Super Bowl contenders. I consider them Super Bowl contenders, both teams. I mean, I think we're at the point now of the season where there's 6, maybe 7 teams that are even capable of winning the Super Bowl. We got 2 of them today. Do players get more up for these kind of games, Hugh? I know it's still a month away from the playoffs, but today just feels like when they kick that thing off, and it's the national game on CBS, it just feels like there's going to be extra juice in that building.
Oh, no
today.
question about it, man. This is one of those games where, you get to tell everybody, hey, like I said, everybody in the neighborhood is going to be watching you the late game.
Yep.
And you get a chance to show everybody what you already know. Because we've been saying it, we've been on this station for the last couple of weeks, and, we've talked about how this defense has played well, but who have you really played against in the caliber quarterbacks? You're playing against a unicorn today. You're playing against a quarterback that's one of one. And no matter how many times you try to go out there and practice and emulate what he does, it's going to be tough. So this is a great measure. As a defender, this is the kind of games that you want, going up against the biggest back in the game, the number 1 rushing back, if I'm not mistaken, in the game, physical player. This is what you want, man. And you want to go out there, you're salivating, and you want to show everybody how good you really are.
Well, and we just keep upping the ante on this Eagles team, right? Like every time they play a new team or a new good quarterback, we keep saying, well, this is the big test, right?
Yes.
I don't know if there's a bigger test in terms of offense in the NFL right now. The Ravens are number 1 in the NFL in yards per game. And Hugh, they have 2 players. You referenced the quarterback and a running back that are rare players. I mean, we could say it with conviction. I mean, I have no problem saying it. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are both going to be in Canton one day. I mean, the Eagles are taking on 2 of the best players at their position in the NFL today. Lamar is a 2-time MVP, maybe a third this year. We'll see what happens in this game and moving forward. And obviously, Derrick Henry is just an all-time kind of player. Hugh, if the Eagles defense can shut them down today or hold them down, I feel like it's a confidence boost no matter who they play, whether it's the Lions down the line, whether it's the Chiefs down the line, maybe the Ravens again, the Bills. If they hold the Ravens down, they can hold anybody down.
Yeah, no question about that, man. And you talk about the one part that we're not talking about because we're all focused on the defense. But this offensive line is full of maulers, and they enjoy blocking for Saquon Barkley. And he knows that he's benefited tremendously from having those guys going out there doing what they do, and they love the job that they do, man. You know, we all go back and we talk about how at the half, what was it, when they had their bye week, how the offensive lineman went up there and they asked Coach Sirianni to run the football. These are the benefits of having that conversation. You got a guy that now is a bona fide, legit threat for the MVP conversation. Legit. And he's going to go out there and he's going to try to do his thing today as well.
So I'm glad you brought that up. There's more context that's, we've heard this story a few times. The players have talked about it. Lane Johnson has spoken about it. Jordan Mailata has spoken about it with you guys on the Players Lounge. Like this idea that at the bye, they kind of recalibrate things, right? Nick Sirianni was open to change things. Ian Rappaport this morning on NFL Network reported that it was even more than that. It was Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni sitting down and trying to think, like, what is the best way to be messaging to the team? And also, what's the best plan to win? And they all put their heads together, Hugh. And it feels simple now, but it was in the beginning of the year. Because you look at the beginning of the year, go back and look at how often Jalen Hurts was throwing. Go look at the offensive breakdown the first 4 games of the season. They were not like, they were a different team, right? They weren't as good. They were 2-2. They were up and down. Their defense couldn't get off the field. Since that bye week, Hugh, you can make a case. I know Detroit's been really good, right? Really good. They haven't lost since that time either. But you can make a real case since the Eagles bye, after the 4th game, they've been the most impressive team in the entire NFL because they have this run game you just said. Their defense has taken on a new life with Cooper DeJean in there and all the young guys. And when they do throw it, Jalen's been pretty darn efficient. Very few turnovers. It feels like they've created something outstanding since that bye week.
Yeah, man, and they're having fun. I think that one of the most important things to do when you have a football team that's playing well is look at who's having fun. And I can't stress it enough how in a short sampling size, it just looks like everybody's out there having fun doing what they're doing. And that's important, especially around this time of year, man. This is a grind. And we always talk about how, everybody's a little banged up. You're functional at this time of year, but you're sore. You don't want to go out there. You don't want to play in this weather. It's cold. But when you're winning and you're playing well, this weather means nothing. I saw some of the young cats this weekend. I thought it was Ashton Genty. I forgot where they're playing at Boise State. Brother out there with his shirt off. Brother out there, it's like freezing. He out there damn near butt naked, running around with his shirt off. You know why? Because he's having fun. And when you're having fun, it doesn't matter what the weather is. And I would venture to say it's probably going to be the same for some of these cats out there today.
Well, I agree with that. And for the Eagles, it's their biggest challenge until the postseason. This is likely the last time they're going to be an underdog. They haven't been an underdog very often anyway, but probably the last time they'll be an underdog. They don't have to get on a plane again until who knows?
That's love right there, man. Get on the train.
I know.
From Baltimore, grab a sandwich, and ain't got to be home in a reasonable time.
I mean, we're talking about easy travel, a lot of home games coming up, potentially a home game or 2 or 3 in the NFC postseason. The next time this team gets on a plane might be an NFC championship game in Detroit or maybe the Super Bowl in New Orleans. All right, coming up on the other side, we will be joined by Eliot-Shorr Parks. He is live in Baltimore. We'll dive into the player to watch and how the Eagles go about their offense today. The Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hey, Eagles fans, this is Merrill Reese. Phones weren't made to be broken, but life happens. So when you break your phone, Verizon in Philly's got you. Trade in any phone from one of their top brands in any condition, guaranteed, and get a great deal on one of their best 5G phones with unlimited ultimate. Switch now and save. Available at a Philly area Verizon store.
The Piazza Auto Group is proud to have served as the halftime sponsor of the Eagles radio network for over 20 years. As we hope for another championship, it's the perfect time to drive home in the new or certified pre-owned vehicle you've been wanting. The Piazza Auto Group features 18 brands, including Honda, Acura, Mazda, Hyundai, Genesis, Mini, Nissan, Subaru, and Volkswagen. To find the location nearest you or to shop their extensive inventory, visit PiazzaAutoGroup.com.
For some jobs around the house, it's okay to do it yourself. For others, not so much. Like your water heater. Replacing a water heater should only be done by a plumbing professional who can provide a safe installation for you and your family. For a long-lasting, reliable water heater, ask your pro about Bradford White. How you heat your water matters, and Bradford White water heaters are built to be the best for years of dependable service. To learn more and find an installation pro near you, visit BradfordWhite.com.
It's a long season, but one thing is sure. Birds football is sure to make your heart skip a beat. But that flutter you feel in your chest could also be something else, like AFib, atrial fibrillation, a serious heart condition that needs expert care from an all-pro team like Deborah Heart and Lung Center. One thing is certain, all season long, Team Green is sure to make your heart flutter, maybe even skip a beat now and then. Just remember, when it's your heart, you don't take chances. DemandDeborah.org. Go Birds.
Day and night, PGW puts our energy into keeping you safe at home. PGW's 24/7 safety monitoring, infrastructure upgrades, and industry expertise help to deliver the essential energy you rely on and trust. And every mile of infrastructure we upgrade keeps energy delivery in Philadelphia more clean and more affordable. When you see us in your neighborhood, we're working harder than ever to stay on schedule and continue the work of keeping you safe at home. Remember, natural gas smells on purpose. Smell us? Tell us. PGW.
Miss Jill Scott here, partnering with Pico, the team that powers what matters to my hometown and yours. They're connected to our communities because they live, work, and play here too. You can find Pico volunteering in our neighborhoods, embracing clean energy, partnering with local nonprofits like mine, and working around the clock to make sure the lights are on and the natural gas is flowing. And through it all, they're here to make sure we're all shining together. Learn more at pico.com/shine.
Looking to spruce up your kitchen with new appliances? D&K Appliances, family owned and operated, offers brands such as Bosch, Cafe, GE, Thermador, KitchenAid, Sub-Zero, Monogram, and even outdoor kitchen appliances. Their staff are local experts guiding you through the consultation process, so you will love your kitchen every day. D&K Appliances offers 100% in-house service, from delivery and installation to service, unlike competitors. Visit D&K Appliances in Newtown Square and Flourtown, or DKappliances.com. D&K Appliances, the dependable difference.
We are all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. It begins with a game plan, preparing yourself for success on and off the field. Not just thinking about short-term wins, but long-term goals. And the best part about winning is winning as one. Build your tomorrow with Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
Bird Gang Spirits is made for the true Philly fans, the pre-gamers, tailgaters, dieharders, and lifelongers. Now you can raise a glass to number 25 himself, Eagles legend LaShawn Shady McCoy, with their new very limited edition Bird Gang Shady Bourbon Whiskey. Crafted to honor Shady's induction into the Eagles Hall of Fame, this special release is the spirit of Philly pride in every pour. Pre-order now to reserve a bottle or two of LaShawn Shady McCoy's Bird Gang Kentucky Bourbon at BOTLD.com. Please drink responsibly.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, joining us right now live from Baltimore. It's Eliot-Shorr Parks at M&T Bank Stadium as we set the scene for one of the biggest games of the season. Eliot, how we doing?
What up? How you guys doing today? Let me tell you something. It is cold in Baltimore right now, but we have an Eagles player out on the field warming up, no shirt on. The players seem ready for it.
Is it a defensive player? More than likely.
It is a defensive player. It looks like it is at least. Yes. Yeah. They seem ready. Yeah. But it is football
weather right here,
football
baby.
weather. Absolutely.
It is football weather. And Elliot, it's the game of the week. It's one of the games of the year. I mean, there's a lot on the line here. I mean, we're watching two of the 6, maybe 7 teams that actually, I think, have a real chance to win the Super Bowl today. So a lot on the line. And Elliot, we were just saying before you hopped on that this is probably the last huge challenge. I think, Pittsburgh's a good team. That game will be here in a few weeks. The Washington game on the road, division game, that'll probably be challenging. But this feels like the last big one before we get to the postseason. If the Eagles win today, I mean, you get the sense of maybe they won't lose again the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think there's something to be said, too, about being in Baltimore, right? Baltimore is known as a physical, tough team. Obviously, they need this game badly when it comes to them trying to stay in the division race and make the playoffs. So, yeah, this is a really big test for the Eagles today, no question about it. I think that, anytime, look, we know this Eagles team is talented. They have been battle-tested. But their whole thing, their whole kind of mantra and what they want to be known as is a physical team. That's what they've tried to become over the past 2 months. And I think today is a good chance for them to come out here and show it.
I agree. Let's get to the player to watch. Sponsored by the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers, Local 1 of Pennsylvania and Delaware. Now hiring bricklayers, stonemasons, and rubble masons. Visit BAC-1.org to apply today. All right, Elliot, there's no shortage of players we could go to today because there's stars everywhere. And typically this segment, we kind of reserve for a conversation about the quarterback. We'll get to him. It'll be kind of wrapped into this. But it's got to be Saquon Barkley. Elliot, he's positioned himself now to be the person we talk about in this segment right now, and really maybe the player that is talked about more than anyone else league-wide over the next 5 weeks because he might be the MVP of the league, and he's on the path right now to breaking Eric Dickerson's rushing record. I mean, we are watching one of the great seasons of all time, and Elliot, what makes today fun is they're going up against the number 2 rushing defense in the NFL. So it's strength for strength.
Yeah, and I think today is a day, and we just kind of talked about it with the physicality of coming in here and sending a message to Baltimore and really to the rest of the league by playing well. I think how you do that is with Saquon. Don't let the Baltimore defense dictate what you do. I think the Eagles need to come out and be the ones today that dictate what they do. No one should be able to stop them running the ball. If you look at who they have on the offensive line, Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Saquon at running back, I don't care if the opposing defense has a number 1 rushing defense. There is not a defense in this league when the Eagles play to their best that can stop them from running the football. So I'm not coming in today and going, well, if they have a bad secondary, Jalen should throw it a ton. No, I think you play your game. You spent 2 months becoming a physical running team that goes into games and pushes teams as opposed to taking a step back and pass blocking. And that's what I think they should continue to do today. And that starts with Saquon.
Hugh, where do you come down on this? So it's an interesting debate. I'm sure the Eagles, the coaching staff probably had it this week, right, internally. All right, we're the number 1 rushing offense. We're a great rushing offense. We may have the MVP in the backfield and a great O-line, but they're really good at stopping the run. And they're not so good at stopping the pass. I could see how Kellen Moore and maybe Nick Sirianni could inch towards, hey, let's throw it a little bit more this week. Hugh, where do you come down? Do you just run it?
Run the ball. Let this offensive line do what this offensive line does, man. Like I said, last week was probably the best front 4 that they faced all season long. And they imposed their will on those guys. Keep it going, man. Like I said, I can't stress enough how stoked Jordan Mailata was when we were talking about Saquon Barkley. Elliot was there, and how excited he was when we were talking about the physical confrontation that he had against Jed Verse, and he bested him. I know everybody wants to talk about the play where he set him on his butt, but you got to look at the plays before that and after that, where he was basically little boying him. So they want this record for Saquon probably just as much as Saquon does. Run the football today.
Well, and Hugh can probably speak to this more as a former player, but I do think there is something to be said for the coaching staff saying to this offensive line and running game, we can run it with you guys against anybody. I don't know how it goes over in that locker room. If for 2 months you're saying we're a run team, we're a physical team, we're the toughest team, and then you go up against the number 1 rushing offense, and it's rushing defense, and it's never mind. You guys can't really run it against them. So I do think there is something to be said for not completely letting the opposing defense dictate your game plan. I know there's a level of being stubborn. You don't want to just run into a brick wall if it's not working, but I think they should be able to run the ball, and I think it would be a good message to the players from the coaching staff of we don't care where we are or who we're playing. We know we can go out there and win against them.
Well, and if they can do it today, Elliot, I mean, we've had a lot of discussions, and we'll get to the MVP race coming up in a little bit here because Lamar's on the other side, obviously Saquon on the Eagles side. But if the Eagles can run it today, at a really high level, we have to start having a conversation that this might be the greatest rushing attack we've ever seen. Not that obviously Saquon is the lead part of that, but you guys talked about the offensive line, Jordan Mailata. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is going to end up with several hundred rushing yards, maybe close to 500-600 rushing yards at the end of the season. He's a part of it when Gainwell comes in. Elliot, they have more rushing yards through 11 games than any team in the Super Bowl era. I almost think it took us a few weeks because we kept talking about, is this sustainable, to just recognize it is what it is. This might be, or is right now, one of the greatest rushing teams in NFL history. And if they do it today, then we might just say no one could stop them because this team's really good at stopping the run.
Well, if you remember in 2022, I believe they went up against the number 1 rushing defense in Green Bay in prime time, and I think they set a franchise record for rushing yards in a game.
I think Jalen had like 100 in the first quarter in that game.
Yeah, exactly. So we have seen them go up against great run defenses and run the ball anyway. You talk about them being one of the best running attacks of all time. And you could really start anywhere with why they are. The offensive line is obviously very good. They have a big offensive line. Having Landon Dickerson and Mekhi Becton at your guards position certainly does help when it comes to pushing people out of the way. But I also think it's important to bring up with how much we talk about him, what Jalen Hurts does for this running game. The fact that he is a running threat obviously helps them because opposing edges have to at least keep an eye on him, or opposing linebackers who have to at least hesitate for that half a second. And that does give Saquon, especially with his ability, all he needs to go out and make a big play. So I know sometimes Saquon being a great running back and having all these rushing yards can almost look bad for Jalen. It's like, well, they can't throw it with Jalen, and that's why they're running it so much. Jalen's a part of why they're such a successful running offense.
It's a fair point. And Elliot, I mean, it's important to throw that in the conversation because some of the numbers kind of point to the idea that Jalen's almost along for the ride. I mean, this is the first time they've won this many games in a row without a quarterback attempting 30 passes in any of those games since the 40s, right? Like that, and they've had some great teams, right? They won more than that in a row in 04 and 17 and 22.
And they had big leads in those games too.
Yep, right. Yep. So they've made a conscious effort to run the ball. Jalen is a part of it. Hugh, how do you feel about Jalen right now? At some point, like we can keep saying the running game is great, and it is. But at some point, and I keep mentioning this because I just think it's going to happen, they're going to fall behind 10 or the game's going to be a shootout. At some point, they're going to have to ask more of Jalen. And I like the way he played last week, Hugh. I thought last week in, 22 attempts? I thought he played in command last week against the Rams. One of his better games of the year.
Yeah, no question about that. I feel you on that. And I think that's what people are concerned about because we've seen at times where Jalen has tried to throw the ball or attempted to throw the ball a lot, and it hasn't went in his favor.
Well, early this season.
Yeah, but I feel like he's grown from that. And, there's another quarterback who, when you look at him and when he throws the ball a whole lot, he threw 5 picks a couple weeks ago. And that's Jared Goff. So I think that's a fair comparison. If you can run the football and you can add a little bit more balance to this football team in a time where it feels like the running game is resurging, then why not? Why not? I mean, and I feel confident enough in Jalen that there are going to be opportunities with this running game being as solid as it is where he's going to make plays in the passing game. Probably not to the tune of 30 attempts a game or something like that, but they're going to be key plays where the playmakers that he have, they're going to go out there and they're going to capitalize on the position that they were put in.
Well, and Elliot, the key to all this too has been the defense, right? Keeping these games, the game script has been on the same for them. Like just it's close or they're winning, and then you just wear the other team down and they run the ball, and then Saquon breaks 2 or 3 big ones. They haven't been down in games, and look, maybe they won't be. At some point they might be, but their defense has allowed this offense to kind of do whatever they want to do and not the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, there's so many compliments you could give to this defense, how the linebackers are playing, the pass rush has improved throughout the season. Maybe the best compliment you could give it to them is they're going into Baltimore today and they have a better defense than the Ravens, and perhaps substantially when you look at the numbers. So this defense is playing at a high level. You're right. It does help the offense out, just like the offense helps the defense out at times. But I think with Jalen Hurts, we do this thing sometimes where we create this hypothetical situation and worry so much about what's going to happen in it, right? How many times in Jalen's now almost 4 years as a starting quarterback has he been in a situation where he really has to throw them to a win? There just hasn't been that many cases of it, and that's because nobody can stop them from running the ball, and especially with Saquon now. So, the ultimate question, yes, the defense, I think, can keep them in games. Yes, the offense is going to have to win games for them. But I don't worry as much as other people about Jalen's ability to throw the ball 40 times and take them to a win. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to be in that situation. You're going to need Jalen to make big plays on 3rd down, convert in the red zone. And if he does that to the tune of 25 passes, I think we're all going to be taking that bus to New Orleans.
Well, Hugh, get ready. That bus to New Orleans.
He's bounding down.
We got to get
bounding down. That's right. Get it going.
Yeah, we're loading up and trucking. All right, coming up on the other side, we will dive in to the MVP race because we have 2 of the leading contenders for it. Will today decide who wins the NFL MVP? This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Football is all about protection. Helmet protects your head. The line protects the QB. But what's protecting you? With Penny, Pennsylvania's health insurance marketplace, you can protect yourself with high-quality health coverage at the lowest cost. It's open enrollment. Doors are open for Pennsylvanians to apply and enroll at penny.com. Enroll by December 15th. You're worth protecting at PENNIE.com. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
It's Merrill Reese. I'm going to jumpstart my holiday shopping, and you should too, with Hand & Stone's Holiday BOGO event from November 29th to December 1st. Visit your local Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa for their buy one, get one gift card sale. Buy one guest price massage or facial gift card at any of their 60 Philadelphia area locations and receive a free massage or facial promotional gift card. For online details, go to handandstone.com. A gift card to Hand & Stone makes the perfect gift.
When it comes to your home, trust is everything. For 45 years, Kitchen Magic has built a reputation for transforming kitchens with precision and care. From custom cabinets to countertops, backsplashes to storage solutions. And we get the job done fast. In just a few days, your dream kitchen becomes a reality without the hassle. So trust the name your neighbors have relied on for decades. Kitchen Magic. Get your free in-home consultation at kitchenmagic.com and let's cook up something extraordinary.
This season, Chevy brings classic pairings, cookies and milk, mistletoe and kisses, and your holiday plans and a new Chevy. Silverado 1500 gives you power and capability with 430 pound-feet of torque to haul your holiday tree. Equinox EV and the all-new Equinox offer award-winning quality and style to see you through the holiday season. See why Chevy makes everything better and brighter. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Some things in life are meant for each other, like salt and pepper, bacon and mushrooms, or you and the all-new Wendy's Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger. Now, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, does bacon go with mushrooms? And the answer is, they do now. So if you want crispy, crunchy, cheesy, juicy, shroomy, and garlic spready, then you and the Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger are meant to be. For mushroomy, bacony goodness, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Santa, he's not checking his list. He's checking out the insane deals at the Busch Auto Group. Forget Black Friday, forget Christmas shopping. These deals are so big, they'll have your wallet saying, ho, ho, holy. We're talking huge dollar amounts off select Nissans. Infinity's so affordable, Santa's ditching the sleigh for adaptive cruise control. And our pre-owned deals, they're so outrageous you'll feel like you're stealing. But don't worry, it's all perfectly legal. You're still on the nice list. Visit us online at bushautogroup.com. And remember, Philly rides with us.
Howard Eskin here, and get game day ready at your local PA Fine Wine and Good Spirit store with the original Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey for $3 off 750 milliliters and $2 off Jack Daniel's Fire, Honey, and Apple 750s, or a 4-pack of Jack and Coke or Jack and Coke Zero Sugar, now ready to drink in a can for $1 off. Jack Daniel's, born for the tailgate, and please drink responsibly.
Whiskey Specialty, 7% ABV. Jack Daniel's Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniel's is another percent of registered trademarks of Jack Daniel's Properties Inc. Coca-Cola is a registered trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
This football season, get in the game at Acme. Buy participating products and receive touchdown tokens to redeem for entries into the Swoop and Win sweepstakes. You could win 2025 Eagles season tickets or autographed Eagles merch and more. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered? Oh...
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
This week at Acme, don't miss the football items of the week. Dawn dish soap varieties for $5.49, or the digital offer for Tide Pods or liquid laundry detergent for $15.99. Stop in and discover why football is better at Acme, your tailgating headquarters.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Eliot-Shorr Parks with us live from Baltimore here as we get set for one between two of the best teams in the NFL with a handful of the best players in the NFL. And what's on the menu, sponsored by Hatfield. Put pork on your fork. Visit simplyhatfield.com for game day recipe inspiration. Well, that would be the state of the MVP MVP race this week.
The state of the race.
All right, so guys, we have two of the top contenders for the NFL MVP, and I'm wondering if today decides this thing or goes a long way to doing that. So heading into play today, they took it down now since the game started, but before the game started, over at FanDuel, Elliott, Josh Allen, plus 150, NFL MVP frontrunner. Lamar Jackson, plus 250, then Jared Goff and Saquon Barkley tied at 7-1 for the third shortest odds. So after play today, the winner of this game between the Eagles and the Ravens, their best player, Lamar Saquon, very likely is either second or the leading contender for the MVP. I know there's still a good number of weeks left, but Elliot, it feels like today goes a long way to determine the MVP.
Yeah, we saw last week how much one primetime game or a game everyone's paying attention to can really change things. And I know he had a ton of yards last week, so it was a special game. But Saquon's been awesome all year. It took a primetime game for everyone else to realize it. And I think today is another one of those opportunities. The other 4:30 games are not good. This is arguably the best game of the day, even including the primetime one tonight. So it's a huge one. And if Saquon can come out against the number one rushing offense, defense, finish with 180 yards, I think he could end the day as the favorite to win MVP. And I think that's where he should be. I know we're going to get into, who we would vote for. But, man, if you think about this season so far, what are people going to remember? And what's been the story of the season so far? I think that is way more Saquon than it is Josh Allen.
Well, I agree with that. The Allen thing is a little bizarre to me. Look, Josh Allen's a great player. And I know his team beat Mahomes and the Chiefs a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But they don't have 10 wins on the season. They have 9 wins. They're going to win a really bad division. I don't think they're going to be the top seed. And I look at Josh Allen's numbers, Hugh, and they're good. I mean, Josh Allen's he's a tremendous player, and he's probably a future Hall of Famer. But I don't know. I don't think he's having some sort of magical season. If you look at all these players right now that are in the mix, Saquon's having the best individual season of all these players. I mean, we're 5 or 6 weeks away from legitimately talking on whether or not he's going to break the NFL all-time rushing record.
I would agree with that, but I feel like a lot of people feel, and I don't know why this is an excuse. Well, he's playing behind a number one offensive line in the league. And when you look at when AP played, his offensive line helped him out too, when he won it. This is a quarterback for the most part. This is a quarterback-driven league. And I think that a lot of people, when you talk about the Josh Allen thing, they're stuck on the fact that quarterbacks are the ones that make it go, and that's why he's the front runner, and that's why Lamar is coming up second, because it is a quarterback league. But I think Saquon has a legit chance, but at the end of the day, there are going to be some of them old school guys that when they make this vote for the final vote, they're going to vote for a quarterback.
See, the hard part of this, Elliot, is the criteria is different for everyone, right? Like, but what we think the MVP is different than some of the actual voters. So let me throw it out this way. I think Saquon needs to break either the official record of Eric Dickerson or get to 2,000 yards. It feels like if a running back's going to win it, they need to do something historic, right? Like a mile marker. And while if he finishes at 1,955 yards, that's a great season. I think he needs some sort of special number to signify the year. And I think that's going to be his big thing. They're going to win a lot of games, right? The Eagles are probably going to finish with 13 or 14 wins, no matter what happens here, because they've got a lot of easy wins on down the stretch.
So we said last year.
We did. But all right, you would think they're headed for that kind of season. So they'll have a lot of wins, and they'll have probably a top 2 seed. I think he needs some sort of mile marker here.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, if he sets the all-time rushing record, I think he will win MVP. Because to your point, if he keeps running it at a high level, including today, then yeah, they probably will be the number 1 seed, especially when you look at the fact that Detroit, they really aren't playing that great recently, have a really tough schedule.
And they're banged up on defense.
They're banged up on defense. Yeah, so they have a tough schedule coming up. There's a real world where the Eagles could be the number 1 seed. But I agree. Saquon needs that thing for everybody to point at, for the national media to point to, for the talking shows to point to get the ball rolling on it. But, with Josh Allen, too, what I would say is maybe it's unfair to him that he won't win it. I think that he is more valuable to his team than Saquon is to the Eagles. But to what you were saying, like, Josh Allen kind of does this every year. And it's why LeBron doesn't have like 18 MVPs and, why Kobe didn't win it every year when he played. Sometimes players, they do get dinged for greatness. And I think if Saquon can get over 2,000 yards, we will point to him and go, this is the story of the NFL. This is what the MVP was this year.
Yeah, he is the story. All right, let's go over it right now. So if you had a vote right now, Hugh Douglas, I put a ballot in front of you and you had to fill it out today, right? I know we still have time left in the season. Hugh, based on what's happened so far, your NFL MVP right now is?
Saquon Barkley.
I'd vote the same. Elliot,
I give it to Saquon because of how phenomenal he has been during the season. And, that whole jumping over backwards. That was
wild.
Bananas. It was bananas. And he's brought back like Derrick Henry's been running great. Let me not take anything away from Derrick Henry, but I think Saquon Barkley as a whole, where he's come from, being at the Giants for as long as he's been up there, and for him to come here and in his first season light it up the way he's lit it up, I think that right there puts him over the top.
Feels like the story of the season for me in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like Elliot, you said it. Josh Allen's been doing this. Mahomes wins every year. They win a lot of games. The Goff story is interesting, but they have so many great players, probably the best overall roster. I just feel like this is the story. I would vote Saquon too. And I think if the Eagles win this game, Lamar's chances of winning it go down significantly. At 5 losses, you don't see many teams with 5 losses have an MVP. Elliot, if you had a vote right now, who wins it?
Yeah, I would vote for Saquon. The MVP is a narrative award. Let's just call it what it is. Like that is how people decide the MVP. And the biggest narrative in the NFL this year is the running back. It's the year of the running back, and Saquon's been the best running back. And I'll say this to put a final, maybe, knife into the back of the Giants. If Saquon wins MVP this year, or if he sets the single season rushing record, you can say goodbye to the days of him being remembered as a Giant. He officially becomes an Eagle if he wins MVP in Midnight Green.
Well, that's a good point. You're right. He does. Because that's what you think. That's what the moment of his career.
The signature career moments will be in an Eagles helmet, not in a Giants helmet.
It also might be the cherry on top of Howie Roseman's Hall of Fame case, as he signed an NFL MVP. I mean, how often does that happen? Like most guys that win MVP win it on the team they were drafted by. They don't just jump there.
Good point.
In free agency. All right, on the other side, we'll be joined by Dave Spadaro. We'll react to inactives. The idea of Devontae, can he go? Can he not? It was not trending that way. We'll get to all that coming up here. This is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Attention Black Friday shoppers. TurnersvilleJeep.com is celebrating Black Friday deals all month long. Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Compasses, and Ram trucks as low as $349 per month with zero down.
Example 2024 Jeep Compass, VIN number RT156841, 4-cylinder auto PSPV AC, MSRP $35,935. Closing lease, payments of $349 a month for 42 months, with $349 with inception. Total payment $14,658, 7,500 miles per year. Residual value $17,967. Tier 1 credit through Stellantis Financial includes $4,250 in rebates. Includes all fees except tax, title, registration, and $599 doc fee. Offer not valid with trade-in. Offer subject to credit approval by third party.
Ends 12/5/24.
Just like our offensive line protects our star quarterback, plumbers protect the health of the nation. And Philadelphia Plumbers Union Local 690 is no different. In hospitals, commercial, industrial, and residential, with the best trained plumbers in the world, you can be sure your project is done on time and on budget, no matter how big or small. So when your business needs to build new or expand existing facilities, you can count on the members of Plumbers Union Local 690. Visit plumbers690.org.
Call 811 if you have some groundwork to do. Utilities are under you, and it's all good until they spew. Oops, now all on your lawn. It smells like a porta-john. Should've just called 811. It's a real human stinky bomb.
Call 811 before you dig, and help us hit 50 and 5. 50% less damage to buried utilities in 5 years. For more info, visit PA1call.org.
Hey, Joe DeCamera here. This time of the year, it's not just football season. It's not just the holiday season. It's the tire season. A great time of the year. And the best place to take your car is United Tire and Service. That's right. It's not just tires. It's not just service. It's United Tire and Service. They've got it all, from new tires to full inspections and more. And now through December 7th, go to UnitedTire.com and use promo code HAMMER to save $50 on any set of 4 tires. That's promo code HAMMER at UnitedTire.com. Don't drive alone. Drive United.
A strong lineup can make a good football team great. The stuff of champions. At Deborah Heart and Lung Center, our lineup is deep. Cardiologists to cardiothoracic surgeons, electrophysiology to heart failure specialists, and everywhere in between. Offense, defense, and special teams. That's why Deborah is one of the premier heart hospitals in the country, right here in South Jersey. Remember, when it's your heart, you don't take chances. DemandDeborah.org.
Eagles fans, Merrill Reese here to talk about my friends at NovaCare Rehabilitation. Are you dealing with ongoing aches and pains? The physical therapist at NovaCare will help keep you active and doing the things you love. They have more than 200 convenient locations throughout the Delaware Valley and South Jersey. Visit NovaCare.com to schedule an appointment today. NovaCare is the official physical therapy provider to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles trust NovaCare, so can you. Experience the power of physical therapy.
If you're looking to furnish your home
home or replace your old furniture, your journey begins and ends at Bucks County Estate Traders. One piece of advice, make sure you have time when you come here. The 58,000 square foot showroom is a furniture wonderland. Quality high-end pieces with inventory changing daily. It's all here. Mid-century modern, traditional, vintage, antique, and name brands. They'll ship anywhere, or you can pick up in-store. Bucks County Estate Traders in Hatfield or at buckscountyestatetraders.com.
Pennsylvanians are creating their own soundtrack thanks to PA Lottery Scratch-Off's Excitement's back. Pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters, no matter your choice, scratching's always in order. With big top prizes and second chance drawings, thrills await. They're out there calling. If it's excitement you seek and you're looking for action, play the PA Lottery. And keep on scratching. Must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
There are lessons to be learned every day, and every day is an opportunity to find our purpose. It begins with a game plan, not just thinking about short-term wins, but long-term goals. We are all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. Because when the lights are on, that's when preparation meets opportunity. Build your tomorrow at LincolnFinancial.com.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, joining us now from M&T Bank Stadium. Dave Spadaro, as we get set for a big one. Dave, how we doing?
Doing great. Ready to go here, man. Beautiful day. The sky is blue with some clouds, and the temperature is cold, but not like outrageously cold. So it should be a really good day for football. And I think there might be a little bit of wind, but I don't think the weather will be a huge factor today.
Well, that's interesting to know, especially because both kickers, who are really good ones, have struggled a lot this year. So hopefully the win, not a big factor in the kicking game with Tucker and with Jake. All right, let's talk about some of the players that are going to have impacts today. And Dave, obviously the Eagles have a big challenge here to replace the production of Brandon Graham. On Countdown to Kickoff, we were throwing out some of the names, but there's some new names that fans are going to see today for the first time, including Charles Harris. Are we expecting that he's going to have a role in this defense right away?
I do expect him to have a role. I think the Eagles see him as a pass rushing threat, quick off the edge, get to the quarterback kind of guy who's experienced. And so he knows what Baltimore does. He'll understand what he's seeing as opposed to Jalix, who just hasn't played a whole lot. So I do think that Chuck Harris will be part of this thing. Charles Harris will be, I'm not sure exactly how many snaps, but they'll rotate with Harris. They'll use Jalix Hunt. They'll move Milton Williams to the edge. I think Moro Ojomos to get some reps inside. And we may see Jalen Carter at times in that situation, setting the edge against the run.
Well, let's make Charles Harris the power player of the game, sponsored by IBEW Local Union 98 in partnership with Nika Pendel Jersey. They're proud to power progress in Philadelphia. All right, Dave, so we're waiting inactives. They'll be out in a few minutes here, but it did sound this morning like Devontae Smith was going to give it a go, but a pretty big long shot. What's the latest there? And do you think this is a matter of let's be smart about this? There's plans and hopes for January and February here, and today, while a big game, maybe not worth pushing it too far?
Yeah, I think that's probably the way it's going to go. I mean, I think that when you understand generally a hamstring injury or any kind of injury, you want a player to go through a full practice before he plays. And he did not take a full practice this week. He was limited in his work. And even I'm sure he feels better and better and better, but this is not worth risking a hamstring strain that becomes strained again that forces him to miss the remainder of the regular season. This is a huge game. It is a gigantic game. It is a litmus test game, but it is also an AFC game. So I just think that when we see it all come out, I just feel like Devontae, the Eagles will err on the side of caution. Nothing official, but I think the Eagles will err on the side of caution.
All right, let's talk about a couple of the other injuries. So Darius Slay last week had a concussion. He was hit pretty hard on that play by the sideline, came out. Going to be out today. So that means Isaiah Rodgers. And Dave, I wasn't sure last week when I watched the Rams attack Isaiah Rodgers if maybe he was just having a tough night or if it was a matter of, hey, look, Quinyon is so good and Cooper's so good that we just kind of have to go after this kid who's just right off the bench and not really kind of in the flow of the game. What do you think about Rodgers out there for Slay? And do you expect the Ravens and do the Eagles maybe you think expect the Ravens to challenge him today?
Yeah, I think Isaiah during the week was vowing to be better than he was on Sunday night. I think he felt that he did not play his best football game. So it was not a matter of the Rams going away from Quinyon Mitchell because Quinyon's so good. They went after Isaiah Rodgers, and I think the Ravens will go after Isaiah Rodgers, and they've got some dangerous receivers. Zay Flowers is a quick, fast, shifty catch-and-run guy who can go take a short pass and take it many, many yards down the field. Nelson Aguilar, still a good player. I think they've got deep threats. Who had the kid Bateman last year? What's the guy's name who had the catch last week? The touchdown catch.
Rashad Bateman.
Bateman, yeah. Yep. Rashad Bateman had the former first round pick, had a big catch for a touchdown last week. So they will go after. Look, if your choice is, Mitchell, who's been really stingy, or who, by the way, gave up his first touchdown pass in perfect fashion last week. End of the game didn't matter. Cooper Kupp scores it. No hoopla here. Get that off your back. And Cooper Kupp was good there, and then Cooper DeJean here, and then I think you go after Rodgers quite a bit, and I think the Eagles will shade their coverage his way and take chances. I believe the defensive philosophy will be to press the line of scrimmage, bring a lot of heat on Lamar Jackson, and take your chances on the back end against a quarterback who's not known to be especially accurate.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point. And they have like you said, they have a variety of weapons. Bateman, Flowers, and our old buddy Nelson Aguilar.
Aguilar's had a very good season.
Yeah, he's been a good Raven for a few years now. So they go all over the place. Another injury that happened this week, Dave, unfortunate because the guy had worked his way into a role. Ben Van Sumeren going to be out for the season here. Dave, is there a thought maybe of a replacement for him, or is that kind of just that player and that position going to be out of the playbook now? Because it kind of came out of nowhere, the Eagles using a fullback. I wonder can anyone else do that, or are we just not see that anymore?
It happened so late in the week, Joe, that I don't think there is a plan B at the moment. There may be. I'm just not aware that anyone else would have taken reps as a backup fullback. So I think there are certainly fullbacks on the streets if you want to sign one. I think the Eagles like that package. There are other athletes on the team, but Ben Van Sumeren is such an extraordinary athlete, and it really added a little bit of a punch and it added a different look. It made defenses take some time to account for that, and Saquon gained yardage when Ben Van Sumeren was in the lineup. I am not aware of a plan B for today. I'm sure that when the Eagles get back to NovaCare tomorrow, they will make the determination. Do they want to add someone to the mix? Do they want to try to develop somebody within the roster? But right now, I guess I'd be very, very surprised if the Eagles use a fullback today.
Interesting. All right, Dave, last thing here before we let you go. Give us a name. Maybe we haven't talked about, we didn't bring up much down countdown to kickoff or in this conversation here that you think some point in this game today we're hearing the name or we're kind of seeing that name on the screen a bunch of times.
I mean, when Jordan Davis, his expertise is winning with bulk, with size in the middle of the defensive line. And we just haven't heard much of Jordan Davis. He hasn't played a whole lot. If there was ever a time to get Jordan Davis out there with his stout frame, today's the day. Against Derrick Henry, winning inside is so important. I got to believe that the Eagles are counting on Jordan Davis to have a big, big game today. I don't know if you've talked about him, but certainly we have seen Jalen Carter dominate the inside. If the Eagles can get something from Jordan Davis, that would go a long way to stopping King Henry and forcing the Ravens into more of a pass-first frame of mind offensively.
Well, that'd be huge. And keep those linebackers clean off the blockers so they can run with Bond and Dean and make some plays.
And I want to see Nakobe, dude. I want to see Nakobe, who's 230 pounds, down the hole with King Henry coming down on him.
Oh, that'd be fun. Oh,
I think it'll be fun. I'm not sure how fun it is for Nakobe. I know he's fired up for this one.
You.
It's gonna be fun for I know. I'm not the one out on the field.
Yeah, I'm just watching. Yeah,
I know, right? But I mean, that's the thing. You want to be physical. Well, today you're going against the most physical running back in the league.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. Dave, we appreciate it. Enjoy the game, and we will talk soon. All right, coming up next, Femi Abebefe from Odyssey gives us his betting tips for the rest of the NFL weekend, including Eagles, Ravens. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Gerhardt's Appliances has what you need to be tailgate ready this season for the birds. Whether it's the in-home appliances needed to prepare your famous Kelly green pepper casserole before pregame, or the barbecue grills you'll need to fire up the last of your sausage links in the parking lot before kickoff, Gerhardt's has you covered with the best game day deals on appliances. Gerhardt's Appliances, helping Philly sports fans get the season cooking since 1945. Visit Gerhardt'sAppliance.com.
There's a chill in the air and the big red bows are on the cars. Make this holiday season a December to remember with a great deal on your new Lexus from Lexus of Cherry Hill. The 2025 Lexus are arriving daily, over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Lexus of Cherry Hill, now a 7-time J.D. Power Dealer of Excellence winner for the customer sales experience. Visit LexusofCherryHill.com. Lexus of Cherry Hill, family owned and operated.
This is Jonathan Cans, third-generation owner of Marvin E. Cans Heating and Air Conditioning. Have you recently had an HVAC tech at your home that you think was full of you-know-what, trying to sell you a bunch of stuff that you don't need? Look, if your furnace or heat pump need to be fixed, we'll send one of our technicians out to do one thing, fix it. And if we do think you need a new furnace or heat pump, we'll send out one of our factory-trained teams to install state-of-the-art Train heating system to keep you warm. Visit us at marvinecans.com. That's MarvinEKanze.com.
'Tis the season for Tasty Cake. That chill in the air means it's time to snag those limited edition Tasty Cake treats. Enjoy your favorite holiday flavors like Frostbite donuts and salted caramel cheesecake pies, or warm up the family with some hot chocolate and mint chocolate candy cakes. Hurry over to your local store right now to stock up on the best flavors of the season, because the holidays aren't complete without your favorite Tasty Cake treats. Grab these treats before the season ends and make today tasty with Tasty Cake, except no substitutes.
It's that time of year again. Hi, it's George Parenti, the lead dog at the Dogs and Cats Rules stores. If you're a pet parent like I am, you know that the holidays are just as important to our four-legged kids as they are to us. At the Dogs and Cats Rules stores, our goal is to make your holiday shopping easier. When it comes to getting the cutest Christmas-themed toys, collars, and leads, we have absolutely everything. That's Dogs and Cats Rule, now with 7 convenient locations. Shop small, shop local, shop family. Happy holidays from all of us at Dogs and Cats Rule.
This football season, get yourself a win by losing. Call NJ Diet today and you will lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days, contractually guaranteed. You'll shock family during holiday get-togethers, and more importantly, your doctor should finally be able to give you good news about your blood work. Not only that, but losing weight is linked to help boosting low T. Best of all, there are no shots or nasty side effects. Call today, 855-5NJ-DIET, or go to njdiet.com.
Howard Eskin here, and get game day ready at your local PA Fine Wine and Good Spirit store with the original Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey for $3 off 750 milliliters and $2 off Jack Daniel's Fire, Honey, and Apple 750s, or a 4-pack of Jack and Coke or Jack and Coke Zero Sugar, now ready to drink in a can for $1 off. Jack Daniel's, born for the tailgate, and please drink responsibly.
Whiskey Specialty, 7% ABV. Jack Daniel's Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniel's and all the percent are registered trademarks of Jack Daniel's Properties Inc. Coca-Cola is a registered trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
I'm Jalen Hurts here for Window Nation. If you're a fan of saving money, listen up.
Right now, save 50% on all window styles, plus a bonus 10% off and 0 interest for 6 years. Hurry, sale ends December 31st. Call Window Nation today to schedule your fast, free in-home estimate or visit windownation.com.
Don't pay more than you have to for new windows. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Who's the man in a white plumbing van?
Roto-Rooter Man.
Who's the dude who clears your drain of food?
Roto-Rooter Man.
Who's the guy to keep your basement dry?
He's the Roto-Rooter Man.
Who's your friend for a pipe on the man?
Roto-Rooter Man.
If plumbing, drain, or water cleanup are the plan, better call your Roto-Rooter man. Roto-Rooter, we put water where it should be.
Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name, and away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio joining us right now. From Odyssey, You Better Your Bet, Femi Abebefe, as we look forward to a big one down in Baltimore. Femi, how you doing today?
Doing great. Everyone's looking forward to this game, Eagles at the Ravens. It's going to be a fun game, maybe a battle of the two MVPs that we have right now with Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley. Like the early slate's decent, it's kind of the appetizer, but the main course is coming up here in a couple of hours.
All right, let's start with the game, and then we'll move to the MVP race. Femi, the line currently, as I look at it, has moved to Eagles +3. Ravens are a 3-point favorite. It's kind of vacillated 2.5, 3 over the course of the week. What's your read on the game? Two of the, I would say, 5 or 6 best teams in the league going at it today.
Yeah, my read on the game is that the side in terms of like the point spread, that I think is correct. Like Baltimore, like there's a healthy amount of respect on a short week, dealing with the nicks and knacks that they have, but being a field goal favorite against a team as good as Philadelphia, like that's a healthy amount of respect, but I think it's justified. This Ravens team, their ceiling is really high because of what they can do offensively. But I think right now the total, and that's what's actually moving right now, I'm looking at the odds board as we're speaking, that's the most interesting part of this game, because I think this is going to be a lower scoring game than most people think. Like, you think about all the skill guys with both of these offenses. I'm sure all the fantasy football owners, like they have A.J. Brown and Lamar and Saquon and all these skill guys that are on this game. But I think both, like the Eagles defense is just showing that they're one of the best units in the league. And I cannot wait to see that defense against the Baltimore Ravens offense. But now with also having Devontae Smith out, I think we're going to see a lower scoring game to where Philadelphia's offense is not going to be as potent as it typically is. So I think this game is the total sitting at 51. It's now 50.5 in a lot of places. I think you're going to continue to see money coming in on the under now that the actives and inactives are out, and it's confirmed that Devontae Smith's not going to play in the game. So I think it's a lower scoring game. As to who wins it, my guess would be Baltimore, but I think that's also just a guess. I can see it going either way. I think both of these teams are pretty evenly matched. Well,
and Femi, the other part that makes it fun is 2 of the top 4 MVP candidates as of right now are on the field today. Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley. Femi, I know you guys talk to a lot of people on the show that vote and kind of understand the mind of voters. What do you think is going to go into the voting this year when it comes to Saquon? Do you think he needs to have a round number, whether it be 2,000 yards or maybe even break Eric Dickerson's record? Do you think he needs to do something extraordinary to win, or is it just about, hey, he might be the best player in the league this season?
I think the round number definitely helps him make the case. Like, because you look at all the quarterbacks that are out there right now, and everyone's going to usually have that bias towards quarterbacks because it's the most valuable position. But if Saquon gets 2,000 yards and is chasing Eric Dickerson, which based on his averages per game, he's going to be in that conversation. Like, he's averaging a number to where that would actually surpass Eric Dickerson and what he was able to do. So if he's continuing to stay on pace and chase Eric Dickerson for the most rushing yards in a single season, I think that, along with the Eagles being at least the 2 seed, which is they're in line for, like they're in the hunt for the 1 seed, but they're at least going to be the 2 seed, worst case scenario. I think that's how he wins this award. And obviously we have to see what happens around the league, but like winning today would go a long way in him winning, because what does that do? Not only does it help the Eagles kind of stay pace with the Detroit Lions, but also brings back the Ravens down another peg to where Lamar Jackson, who statistically is having an awesome season, but from a team success standpoint, because you have to factor in the team component, if he gets to 5 losses and we're only on December 1st, I think that hurts his candidacy as well. So this is a really, really high leverage game for the award, and I can't wait to watch it. Yeah, it's going to be fun. By the way, Pittsburgh is winning right now. So if they win and the Ravens lose, the Eagles could do a double whammy like you're saying in Lamar, because he might be a wild card team. He may be playing on wild card weekend, let alone not being close to a number 1 seed. Femi, we appreciate you hopping on as always. Enjoy the rest of the slate, and we'll catch up again soon. Thank you, Femi. Awesome stuff, guys. Enjoy the game. There he goes. Femi Abebefe, Odyssey's You Better, You Bet. Yeah, a lot on the line today for both these teams, but also the MVP race. I mean, if things go Saquon's way and the Eagles' way, Saquon could be the favorite for the award by tomorrow. All right, Elliot rejoins us next. We'll get his keys to the game. This is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Saquon set records.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 70 yards.
Shot out of a cannon. And the defense dominated.
Was he walloped by Brandon Graham.
Today, the Eagles have their sights set on their 8th straight win.
That's what we've seen, right? Growth through adversity.
As they face the Baltimore Ravens. Today's game is sponsored in part by PNC Bank, PDQ Restaurant Point of Sale Systems, Verizon, NovaCare Rehabilitation, your Delaware Valley Honda dealers, Deborah Heart and Lung Center, Acme, Piazza Auto Group, and IBEW Local Union 98. You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Eliot-Shorr Parks live in Baltimore as we get set for a huge one. The 9-2 Eagles, the 8-4 Ravens. Before we get to Elliot's keys here, inactives are out. The full inactives: Darius Slay, who we expected with the concussion; Devontae Smith with the hamstring; Nick Gates, Darian Kennard, Trevor Keegan, Johnny Wilson are the inactives for today. Paris Campbell is active at wide receiver. So no real surprises there. We knew that Devontae was probably unlikely to play, but now it is official. Devontae Smith out of this game. All right, let's get to the keys to the game. Brought to you by United Tire. For the best tire price anywhere, don't drive alone. Drive United. Some have called this the most anticipated segment of the pregame show. Let's get to the keys to the game with Eliot-Shorr Parks.
ESP. 3 keys with ESP.
First key to the game, and we've talked about him all show already, Derrick Henry. Well, what's the key to stopping him? Jordan Davis versus Derrick Henry. There are only so many humans in this world that can look eye to eye with Derrick Henry and feel confident he can maybe bring Derrick Henry down, and Jordan Davis is one of them. He has the size, he has the athleticism, and his whole thing is supposed to be stopping the run. I think at this point, safe to say he will not be an impact player against the pass. It doesn't seem to be trending that way, but he can still be worth that top 15 pick if on days like today he helps shut down one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. So for me, the first key to this game is Jordan Davis, go out and be the first-round pick that they spent on you.
Yeah, Hugh, you've always been more of a Jordan Davis defender than I think everyone else around here.
Yeah.
You have a good purview of him because you watched him in college and you kind of knew what he was coming to the NFL. I think it's sometimes it's hard to have two things in your mind at once. One, he probably wasn't worth that pick, right? A first-round pick. But
because
two,
you want to pass rush.
Right, but can he still help the team win football games? And I think that's, to Elliot's key here. Today's a huge day for him. Like, I think if games like today, and if they see the Lions down the stretch of the season, teams that run the football at a high level, he's got to be a big part of those wins.
Yeah, you have to earn your keep. I know the last couple of weeks they were talking about his reps going down a little bit, and he wasn't playing that much. But this is the game, man. When it's all hands on deck, it's getting late in the season, and it's time to step up. I know you're not a pass rusher, and I know a lot of people have been down on you because you haven't been able to rush the pass like that. But today is the day where you could really show people that you're not the B word, a bust. I don't think he's a bust, but I've heard people kick that word around a little bit when they talk about him. So today is the day you can really up your game. You can really up your status a little bit.
So there's two elements, Elliot, to the Jordan Davis conversation. Is he a bust? Was he worth the pick? I mean, those are kind of big picture things. But I'm starting to wonder, is he an Eagle moving forward? I mean, this is his third year in the NFL. They could offer him a contract extension after this season. Elliot, I don't think they're going to. Not based on what I've seen so far. I mean, unless he's willing to take something that's below market value or just kind of like a mid-tier deal and they like him and they want to keep him around because why not? But I don't think that based on what I've seen that they would give him a contract like other first-round picks drafted in his area after 3 years.
Well, the good news is nobody will.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be able to command that type of money, right? So I don't think they'll be picking up his fifth-year option, and I think he will be an Eagle for a long time. You brought up the bust thing. Look, he was not worth the pick he was selected at. It is what it is. That pick is gone. They've spent it. But he is still a good NFL player. He's a good NFL run defender. And I think it's underrated how important he is in that locker room. I think he's in some ways kind of like the leader of the Georgia guys. And he's a good talker out there. Like I think Jordan Davis brings a lot of good qualities to this team. So I think they'll sign him to an extension, but it is not going to be at, $20 million a year. It'll be at maybe $7 million a year or something like that.
So the other part of the puzzle of why it's an interesting key for you is, we know how we do this. Is our brains work like this. On the other side of the field today is going to be the player that they could have selected that went one pick after Jordan Davis. That's Kyle Hamilton. So if Davis is kind of silent or we don't hear his name or the Eagles or the Ravens
comparing and contrasting.
Yeah, of course. If the Ravens are running down the Eagles' throat while he's on the field, meanwhile Kyle Hamilton makes a play. I mean, that is a big story. I like that one. Elliot, how about key number 2?
So number 2, I'm going to go with Isaiah Rodgers versus Rashad Bateman. And on a larger scale, I'm going to go the Eagles secondary versus the Ravens attempts to pass the ball deep. Only 2 quarterbacks in the NFL have thrown it more times over 20 yards than Lamar Jackson has. And that's what they're going to want to do today. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, they think they can be down to field threats. They also like to get him in space. But I think down the field, making big plays is how the Ravens like to move the ball. It's kind of similar to the Eagles offense. They run the ball, they take shots down the field. The difference is the Eagles have a talented secondary that have been really good this year. So if they can keep the Ravens from getting chunk plays, I really think that the Ravens at least, will struggle to move the football.
Hugh, I thought the Rams attacked Isaiah Rodgers. As soon as he came in the game for Slay last week, it actually gave me more of an appreciation for how, the level Slay is still at.
Yeah, how he was playing.
Because as soon as he went out, they didn't even look Cooper DeJean's way, who was on Cooper Kupp. They barely, until the end, that last drive in garbage time, looked Quinyon Mitchell's way. They were like, all right, let's just go right after Isaiah Rodgers. And Hugh, I don't know if that's because he was cold off the bench or he had a bad night, but
it's a little bit of it. Was a little bit of
would
that.
think the Ravens are going to do the same thing today.
And coming in at that position with a passing team, it kind of throws you off a little bit. But this week is the week where he's going to have to hunker down a little bit, and because he's probably going to see a little bit more of that and play a lot better than he did last week. That's why I gave Darius Slade a shout out last week when I did, man. He took a lot of heat last year for not wanting to tackle anybody and things of that nature. Did a pretty good job of tackling so far this year. Just unfortunate for him that every time he did, he ended up getting hurt. He did end up getting hurt, but he was playing well.
Yeah, and Elliot, I think it's going to be a big one, not just for today, but moving forward. Just watching Slay, he still could play. Mm-hmm. But, now obviously the concussion is why he's out today. But it feels like every game it's in and out. He's just, his body's, it's probably starting to break down a little bit here. So I get the sense Rodgers is going to be on the field down the stretch of the season. I'd be surprised if Slay gets back in there and just plays every snap the rest of the way. So they're going to need Rodgers. And I imagine the Ravens are going to attack him today.
Yeah, we could be looking at the future Eagle secondary here when you take Quinyon Cooper and Isaiah Rodgers. Look, Isaiah Rodgers did not play well last week. I think there's such a huge difference between coming off the bench in a game as opposed to getting the starting reps all week at practice, being more in tune with what the defense is going to do. And also, let's be honest, like going up against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, those are two excellent route runners. They can really put you on your toes if you're a cornerback. I think these players are more just about down the field speed today with the Ravens. And watching Isaiah Rodgers in training camp, he was excellent down the field in coverage. So I do have confidence he'll play well today. And we just talked about the Jordan Davis contract. Isaiah Rodgers is a free agent as well, has a chance to earn himself quite a bit of money today.
Yeah, and the other part about the Ravens that's interesting, clearly Zay Flowers is their number one. He has 87 targets. But after that, between Bateman, Andrews, Hill, likely Aguilar, they're all within like 25, 30 targets of each other. So I guess Rashad Bateman is their number two, but they're likely to throw to anyone. Like Lamar seems like if it's not Flowers, he'll just throw to whoever's open after he scrambles around. So I imagine whoever is lined up across from Rodgers is going to see the ball a lot today. All right, how about key number 3, Elliot?
So I'm going to go with Cam Jurgens, but really it's the whole interior line versus Nnamdi Madubuike. I apologize. I'm sure I mispronounced that name, but I did, yes. But he is.
I know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, come on, Hugh, you got me on that one. But no, look, he's the best Ravens, I think, lineman. He's a real great pass rusher from the interior. He's great against the run. We talk so much about, can the Ravens stop Saquon Barkley in the running game? Well, making sure that you stop Madubuike, is that how it said, is a good way to do that. So I think he's a player they absolutely have to watch today.
Well, that's a good one. However you pronounce his name, he's good. And it's interesting. Their front still has some good players, like names out there that you're like, oh, he's good. But their defense isn't good. It's like it's why, you kind of look at the matchups in this game and there's one clear area where there's a weakness. So I have the 4 big units. It's the Ravens defense. So for whatever reason, I'm not sure if they've had a lot of coaching change. It kind of reminds me of last year with the Eagles, where the coaching changes when you have that much on a staff, it might be too much to overcome. I think they lost their coordinator, their secondary coach, their defensive line coach, and a lot of them went on to do big things. McDonald's in Seattle is the head coach. Denard Wilson, who was here at one point, is now the defensive coordinator in Tennessee. And they have a young coordinator, Zach Orr, who just recently was a player. So today feels like a day where the Eagles might be able to out-scheme them a little bit, not just player for player, but they've got a lot of different parts in that coaching staff there.
Yeah, I think when we think about the Ravens, we almost think about the ghost of the Ravens in a way. Because for so long, I'm sitting here right now, I'm looking at the Ravens Hall of Fame, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. They've had, obviously, Haloti Ngata, outstanding players here. Those players are just no longer there. So the Ravens defense, you're right, they are not a good team. They're 23rd, I believe, in the league in points allowed. They're 23rd also in points per drive, which can be or at least a better indication of how good a defense is. If you run on the Ravens, you could really start to put points up against them. So absolutely, I agree with you. Look, Kyle Hamilton's a good player. Marlon Humphrey, maybe not quite as good as he used to be, but still a pretty good corner. But the sum of their parts do not equal a good defense. This is a defense the Eagles should be able to move the ball on.
Yeah, the Ravens defense defense not very good. The Eagles is, but we know, guys, there is a big loss. And I can't wait to see how the Eagles replace Brandon Graham. I can't believe in 2024, I'm curious how they could do this. But Hugh, Brandon was not just playing okay. He was playing at a really high level.
Very, very high level.
And I just, until I see it, I don't know how they're going to replace him. I know they signed Charles Harris, and he was having a decent season for Carolina.
Active today, by the way.
Okay, so we'll see him. And Dave Spadaro in Countdown to Kickoff said he thinks he's going to have a real role. But Hugh, between Charles Harris and Jalen Hunt, it's big shoes to fill here.
Yeah, and you're talking about some young guys who they had out there that they were hoping that could understand the concepts that Coach Fangio was trying to implement. He had a whole week to work with these guys. You're talking about Charles is going to be out there, and he might play a lot, but it's probably going to have to come from within. No question about that. It's going to have to come from within. I wouldn't be surprised. Dave alluded to it. Dave Spadaro a couple times. They might slide some guys out from the D tackle spot to that defense outside linebacker spot to try to help out in certain situations. So it's going to be one of those committee things, and it's going to be all hands on deck. And the young guys are going to have to contribute, man, the best way they can. It's probably going to take like 2 or 3 guys to make up for the production that Brandon Graham had.
Well, and the other part of this, too, when other players go out at big positions, like when they lose a receiver, no Devontae today. Well, it's on A.J. Brown to step up because he's the best player on that unit. You're right. It's going to be on Charles Harris, Jalen Hunt, a combination of those guys, Nolan Smith. But making sure the line stays great and plays at the level it has been, to me, it starts with Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat is the best edge rusher on the team. He's going to be playing probably more snaps now that Brandon Graham is out, and he has to go out there and continue to be the productive player he has been. He has had a good year. They need him to be great now with Brandon Graham out. Like, he's playing for a contract as well. He's the one that they decided to pay over Hassan Reddick. So now with BG gone, like, Sweat has to have a strong second half of the year, which, let's be honest, he's not really had throughout his career, especially last year.
Yeah, my concern, I think he could do it, Elliot. I think Sweat can play well. He's pushing for a contract, and I think he's had a nice season. My concern is they're just thin now. Like, they're thinner there. And I remember last year down the stretch, because they played those ends a lot last year between Reddick and Sweat, and it felt like they wore down at the end.
Yeah.
This year they haven't had to do that as much because they've had more guys. But Sweat right now is at 63% of the snaps. Nolan Smith at 44%. My concern would be over the next, 6, 7, 8 weeks, if those guys' snap percentage goes up into the 70s, are they as effective? Like that feels like the big concern now with this defense, which has played great, for like 2 months now.
Look, you can't take anything for granted, but of the 6 games that they have remaining, 3 of them are against teams that are already thinking about next year.
Yep.
So when it comes to Pittsburgh, Washington, today's game, yes, you need them out on the field, especially in that NFC game against Washington. That's going to be a really important game. But if the rest of the team plays to their potential against Carolina, New York, Dallas, I think there's a real chance there to get Jalen Hunt snaps in what should be a blowout, to get Charles Harris more snaps in what should be a blowout. So, yes, I think there'll be chances to rest them at points if the rest of the team plays like they should against these bad teams.
Yeah, it's a good point. And then they're going to need that because there's no more bye unless they do get the number 1 seed down the stretch into the postseason. All right, coming up on the other side, we'll check in with Merrill Reese, his thoughts on the game, his keys to the Eagles trying for their 8th straight victory. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hi, this is Joe Mederchik, PNC Bank Regional President. As a bank, we pride ourselves on being boring. But the truth is we couldn't be more excited to serve the dynamic greater Philadelphia community. For nearly 160 years, we've quietly toiled away to deliver brilliant results for our equally brilliant clients. We have dedicated PNC teams throughout the local area, all ready to do the boring work to help you unlock your own brilliance. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Hey, Eagles fans, this is Eagles All-Pro wide receiver Mike Quick. Phones weren't made to be broken, but life happens. So when you break your phone, Verizon and Philly's got you. Trade in any phone for one of their top brands in any condition. Guaranteed, and get a great deal on one of their best 5G phones with unlimited ultimate. Switch now and save. Available at any Philly area Verizon store.
Know what's below, because even minor excavation projects like installing a mailbox, building a patio, or putting up a fence can do major damage. Contact 811 before you dig, or visit pa1call.org to submit a locate request to have underground utilities marked.
The Hess truck's back and it's better than ever to the rescue. This year, the Hess truck's here. The 60th anniversary Hess Fire Truck with car and motorcycle comes with lights, sounds, and a huge ladder. Only at HessToyTruck.com with free shipping and batteries.
It's time to cut your old point of sale system and revolutionize your business with PDQ POS. Joe Flynn and his team at PDQ have been the industry leader for over 35 years. They offer everything from mobile POS to self-service kiosks and the best service and support in the industry. For the fastest, easiest, most reliable POS available, trust PDQ POS. No matter how many locations you have, they'll build a custom solution for your business. Visit pdqpos.com.
Operating engineers are the men and women that move mountains. And the Engineers Labor Employer Cooperative, ELEC, puts them to work. They create opportunities for the men, women, and union signatory contractors of Local 825, repaving our roads, keeping our homes bright and warm, and even building our favorite team stadium. We understand infrastructure. That's why ELEC and Local 825 are ready to get to work.
It's Merrill Reese. I'm going to jumpstart my holiday shopping, and you should too, with Hand & Stone's Holiday BOGO event from November 29th to December 1st. Visit your local Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa for their buy one, get one gift card sale. Buy one guest price massage or facial gift card at any of their 60 Philadelphia area locations and receive a free massage or facial promotional gift card. For online details, go to handandstone.com. A gift card to Hand & Stone makes the perfect gift.
We are all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. It begins with a game plan, preparing yourself for success on and off the field. Because when the lights are on, that's when preparation meets opportunity. And the best part about winning is winning as one. Build your tomorrow with Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
Bird Gang Spirits is made for the true Philly fans, the pre-gamers, tailgaters, dieharders, and lifelongers. Now you can raise a glass to number 25 himself, Eagles legend LaShawn Shady McCoy, with their new very limited edition Bird Gang Shady Bourbon Whiskey. Crafted to honor Shady's induction into the Eagles Hall of Fame, this special release is the spirit of Philly pride in every pour. Pre-order now to reserve a bottle or two of LaShawn Shady McCoy's Bird Gang Kentucky Bourbon at BOTLD.com. Please drink responsibly.
Breaking down Eagles Ravens tomorrow on the morning show, 6 to 10 on 94 WIP.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, and joining us now from the booth in Baltimore, getting set for a big one, is Merrill Reese. Merrill, how you doing today?
Aside from being cold, I'm fine. it's nippy here, I'll tell you that.
Great football weather.
It is football weather.
It is football weather.
Merrill, let's talk about this matchup, the Eagles and the Ravens, and we have two of the best teams in the NFL today. Merrill, I think two of the, maybe handful, maybe it's six teams that actually have a real legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. We don't get matchups like this all the time, especially, cross-conference matchups. It's not, we don't see Baltimore very often, but boy, they're a good football team too.
You're right, and this is certainly the game of the week. This is really a head-to-head clash between two very, very good teams.
Yes. I was actually a little surprised they didn't move it to prime time, but I'm good with the 425. It's a great spot.
Well, 425 it's a national game, so it kind of counts as prime time.
I agree. And with all the Thursday games this week and the Friday, there's not many left for that 4 o'clock window. So it's almost like, in a way, there's not many. You're right about that. All right, let's get to your keys, Merrill. How did the Eagles get their 8th straight victory?
All right, this is a little different, but the Eagles may have to throw more often than usual because, well, the Ravens' defense is second against the run, but 31st against the pass.
Yeah, they are suspect, Hugh. It's interesting. It's the Ravens' defense is not what it has been in years past. They're still good against the run, but as Merrill said there, you can throw on the Ravens. Their secondary's pretty down compared to what it was last year.
Yeah, no question about that.
Here's an interesting stat. All right. I think Dallas Goedert is going to have a very big influence on this game because the Raiders' defense has given up 11 yards per catch to tight ends.
It's a great number. Yeah, they're allowing the most tight end receptions and the second most yards in the NFL. A lot of big tight ends have given them problems. Bowers, broke out against them. Travis Kelce, week 1. That'd be fun, Merrill, because it feels like Goddard's been quiet lately.
Well, not today.
I like
All
that.
Right, number 2 is Spy Lamar Jackson. He can take off at any time, pressure him constantly.
Well, and Hugh, the thing about Lamar is even you think you have him, he gets away. He's the closest thing. I mean, you played against Michael Vick. This feels like the closest thing to Vick, but he's a better passer than Michael was early in his career.
Yes, he is, man. And he's one of those guys that, if he takes off running, all you're going to do is see the back of his jersey.
Yep.
You don't want that. So I think rush lanes are going to be imperative to keep. And, everybody's talking about getting after the quarterback, but you got to be leery. You got to be aware of the fact that if you mess around and get outside those rush lanes, he could pull the ball down and run it until he gets leg cramps.
Is this a Zach Bond job today? Who's the spy?
I think the last time it was Nakobe Dean, if I'm not mistaken. Who I can't remember who the quarterback was.
Jacksonville, maybe was it Nakobe?
I think maybe it was Jacksonville game. Nakobe Dean was the spy, so I think that they'll have him be the spy. He's the more to me the speedier, smaller linebacker. You can hide back there, so yeah, he'll be the guy.
Merrill, how about key number
Joe,
3?
You mentioned Michael Vick. Now I'm going back a little ways, but I know you've seen tape, and Hugh certainly has. He reminds me more of Randall Cunningham.
With the way he kind of dances and then decides to move or throw.
Well, and plus, Michael Vick was much shorter.
Sure.
Lamar Jackson is lanky. He's tall and lanky and has those long loping strides. He's something, but he does remind me of Randall Cunningham.
Well, it's almost as if Randall could have played in this era. I think it's a great comparison. All right, how about number 3, Merrill? Key number 3 for a win today.
Okay, now this has been working for weeks. Win the turnover battle. The Eagles have gone from -6 to +3. Win in that category and jump on the bus with 10 wins in your pocket.
Well, and if they jump on that bus, Merrill, they'll be home. And the cool part about this now for you guys, and obviously for the team, Merrill, there's no more plane rides here. I mean, this is a favorable schedule for travel between now and let's say maybe an NFC Championship game in Detroit or maybe a Super Bowl in New Orleans. They don't have the Eagles really have a preferable schedule down the stretch in terms of that.
That's it. You want to wish for the next plane trip to be to New Orleans.
That's it. That is it. That was we did that in 2017.
I'll take that.
Yeah, didn't have to get on a plane for a while. Merrill, we appreciate you hopping on. Have a great broadcast and hopefully an 8th straight victory. Thank you, Merrill.
Let's see. Thank you, guys. Have a great afternoon.
You got it. Merrill Reese there with some keys to victory. And Hugh, the angle on Lamar is interesting because, look, he's been in the league long enough now. If there was a book on how to defend him, teams would do it.
Figured it out
there
by now.
really isn't. One stat I find amazing. I think the number is 23-1. He is in his career against the NFC. Hugh, that tells me teams that don't see him often,
they have trouble with him.
Yeah, it's like I think he's only lost one game against the NFC in his entire career. And you know how the schedule works. They play 4 games every year against the NFC, so it's not like just 1 or 2. He basically wins, more than 3 out of every 4 every year. It's tough to face a guy like that.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that we have on our side is we have a pretty speedy defense. When you talk about the linebackers that we have, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, and those edge rushers that we have out there, these guys that can set the edge and they can get after the quarterback, he pulls it down and runs it. That's going to be the key, is if you can contain him, make him throw when he doesn't want to throw, and try to stop that running game with Derrick Henry just as best you possibly can. I think that's the key.
Now, what's the challenge of facing a runner like Lamar? Like, because you want to sack him, right? Like, there's that natural instinct to you want to sack the quarterback. But Hugh, if a defender, let's just say a Jay Alexander who's out there today, or Nolan Smith gets too far up the field, you're almost inviting him. Yeah,
you don't want to do that, man. You want to maintain rush lanes. You want to maintain rush integrity. What I mean by that is, like, when you have a lane, you want to keep gap integrity. That's what I meant to say. You want to keep gap integrity. You don't want to have too far, one guy up the field too far, and one guy stuck on the line of scrimmage. That creates a natural hole where he can run through. And you want to make sure that you have eyes on him at all times, especially when you have those receivers going out in those routes. You want to make sure you have everybody covered, and you want to make sure that those rush lanes are sound and tight.
The thing he does, so a couple of things that are challenging. One, obviously, like you said, he can run, right? At any time he just takes off and he's the fastest guy in the field. That's a challenge for the Eagles defense. The other thing I've noticed he's done more as his career goes on, he'll just run around back there to throw. Like when he first
try to buy time.
Yeah, when he first got in the league and he first started playing, it felt like if his first read wasn't there, he just running because he knew he could get 10 yards whenever he wanted because he was just that fast. Now, when I watch him, I feel like he's dancing back there looking for someone.
Waiting for time.
And boy, he makes plays sometimes when it's like, you've got him, he spins away, he's running backwards for 5 seconds, and then he just turns around and he just throws it across the field and someone's there because it feels like the defense loses their integrity because he's just like, where is he going now?
Yeah, and that's the thing that you have to guard from, man. You have to make sure that you have a spy on him, and you have to make sure that everybody stays in their rush lanes. Because a lot of times when you see the plays break down, it's because somebody was up the field too far, they ran behind him, and he pulls the ball down and he runs for like 30 yards. You can't have that today.
Well, and I think it's a great challenge today for Vic Fangio. And you know, we've talked a lot on this show, the pregame show, on our show, on the midday show, about the impact of Vic Fangio this year. Hugh, it's so much more than I thought it was going to be. This defense, if you had told me before the season that we'd have the number 1 defense in the NFL in terms of yards, or we'd have a top 5 defense in terms of points per game, that we were talking about you either shaving your beard or dying a green, I would have said you're crazy. Like I didn't even think it was possible for this defense this year, with this personnel, so many young guys, to be, you know, one of the best defense in the NFL. But it's December now. Like, the numbers are the numbers. This is a top 5 defense in the whole sport now.
Yeah, we thought this was going to be, at best, a middling defense.
Yep, we prayed for that.
Yeah, we prayed for that. And they've exceeded expectations from day one, really. And every week they've been proving people wrong, such as some idiot who said that defense was luxury. They've been proving him
What a
wrong.
clown,
Like,
that guy.
that guy's a clown. But they've been proving everyone wrong every week. And this is the week where, you know, and Coach Sirianni's done a great job of telling those guys to block everything out and don't drink the perfume and all this other good stuff. But this is the week where you get to validate everything that you already know about your football team by going out there and beating a good football team today. I can't imagine what that locker room is like right now, especially with those defensive players, knowing that not too long from now, in about 40 minutes, they're going to get a chance to show everybody what they already knew.
Who's been the most impressive to you? Because there's so many different guys we could single out. I mean, Bond has been kind of the most out of nowhere. Nakobe?
Nakobe, because of the simple fact he was hurt his first couple seasons here, and nobody really believed in him. And, man, I just think back to when he ran that running back over, was it last week?
Oh, yeah.
And and the way that he's been playing, man, I really like the bounce back for Nakobe Dean, because a lot of people thought that, you know, he was too small to play at this level. And, you know, he was injury prone.
Well, and the amazing part now is that they have 2 linebackers at the same time playing at this level. This is rare here. I mean, 2 years ago, I really liked TJ Edwards. I didn't want to see him go in free agency, and he's been good for the Chicago Bears. But, you know, it was Kaiser White, who was a journeyman who I thought played well, but it wasn't like overwhelming. This is the best pair of linebackers they've had around here in a very long time. Nigel Bradham and Jordan Hicks were good together in 2017, but then Hicks got hurt and he didn't finish that season. Bradham was very good. I mean, you go back to the times of when Trot was here, but like how many guys next to him it wasn't like a duo. I mean, you got to go back a long time for the Eagles.
Find some decent linebacker play,
duos,
no question about
right? Like
that. Yeah.
once in a while they had a good year or two out of someone, but duos like this, and they could keep this around. I mean, Nakobe is under contract for next year, and if they decide to re-sign Zach Bond, which they absolutely should, they could have this again next year, these two.
Oh, no question about it, man. And I think there was a report out there. I don't know how true it is, but there was some conversation being had about potentially signing Zach Bond during the course of the season because he wants to be here. So hopefully that is the case, man. But they've gotten some really, really good linebacker play, and it was really pleasant to see, because that was one of the positions that when you talk about the journeyman, you talk about the injury prone at the time when we were talking about it.
Yep.
They've really proven everybody wrong, especially when you talk about Zach Bond, a guy who was a special teams player.
And an edge guy more than an inside guy.
Yeah. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some opportunity there for him to rush the passer today too, you know, because it's all hands on deck. If he gets an opportunity to rush the pass, I'm pretty sure that they're going to try to see if he still has that skill set.
You know what? I think it's an interesting idea because, I mean, Charles Harris is coming from a bad team. He, you know, who knows what he's going to bring, right? It's his first time here with the Eagles. And J.L.X. Hunt's a young player. If they're struggling to get a rush, you know, they could do that. They could move Bond to the outside on certain downs. You could put Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the game to play more on the inside, and you can see what you get there. We shall see, but it's a challenge. I mean, when you go up against these two guys with Henry and Lamar, it is a big challenge. We'll see if the Eagles are up for it and how much this defense can continue to look like one of the best in the NFL. Coming up next, we will get a further look at the Ravens. Luke Jones, he covers the team for WNST down in Baltimore. He'll give us a sense of their inactives, their injuries, how healthy is Roquan Smith, what kind of challenge are the Ravens. We'll talk to Luke Jones, WNST, next, right here on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Get the Honda of your dreams during Happy Honda Days with a sporty new Civic, Accord, HR-V, or CR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 2.9% APR on a 2025 Honda Accord or CR-V, a 4.9% APR on a 2025 Civic, and a 3.9% APR on a 2025 HR-V.
Contact your local Honda dealer today.
See dealer for financing details. Exclude Civic Si and Type R.
A strong lineup can make a good football team great. The stuff of champions. At Deborah Heart and Lung Center, our lineup is deep. Cardiologists to cardiothoracic surgeons, electrophysiology to heart failure specialists, and everywhere in between. Offense, defense, and special teams. That's why Deborah is one of the premier heart hospitals in the country, right here in South Jersey. Remember, when it's your heart, you don't take chances. DemandDeborah.org.
What's on the menu for football season? Pork, of course. Get ready for game day with Hatfield and put some pork on your fork. Elevate your kickoff cuisine and halftime feast with Hatfield's winning lineup of marinated pork tenderloins, pork loin fillets, ground pork and sausage, bacon and ham. Whether you're the tailgate king or gridiron gourmet, Hatfield helps you savor the taste of victory. Visit simplyhatfield.com for play-by-play menu inspiration. Find your flavor with Hatfield.
Who's the man in a white plumbing van?
Roto-Rooter man.
Who's the dude who clears your drain of food?
Roto-Rooter man.
Who's the guy to keep your basement dry?
He's the Roto-Rooter man.
Who's your friend for a pipe on the man?
Roto-Rooter man.
If plumbing, drain, or water cleanup are the plan, better call your Roto-Rooter man. Roto-Rooter, we put water where it should be.
Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name, and away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
I'm Mark Lynch, business manager of IBEW Local Union 98. We are proud to connect with the best NECA Pendle Jersey chapter. Together, NECA and Local 98 do the work that powers our great city. Local 98's 5,500 highly trained members approach every job with integrity and excellence. Our clients can count on superior craftsmanship completed utilizing the latest methods, and we're always ensuring safety on the job. If you want the best for your next project, use the top-notch professionals of IBEW Local Union 98.
Modern Group is your Generac, authorized industrial distributor in eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, helping power your team to victory. With generator sets of all sizes and fuel types, let Modern be your Generac provider. Modern Group also services and sells parts for all generator brands. Join a winning team. Modern Group is hiring technicians. Sign-on bonus, great pay, benefits, and employee-owned. Visit moderngroup.com for all your generator needs.
This football season, get in the game at Acme. Buy participating products and receive touchdown tokens to redeem for entries into the Swoop In and Win sweepstakes. You could win 2025 Eagles season tickets or autographed Eagles merch and more. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
This week at Acme, don't miss the football items of the week. Dawn dish soap varieties for $5.49, or the digital offer for Tide Pods or liquid laundry detergent for $15.99. Stop in and discover why football is better at Acme, your tailgating headquarters.
It's Hugh Douglas. We're talking Eagles-Ravens Monday on the Midday Show from 10 to 2 on WIP.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Elliot will rejoin us in a little bit as we'll give some predictions on the game. It's a 4:25 kickoff down in Baltimore. Joining us right now to talk about the game, Luke Jones. He covers the Ravens for WNST down in Baltimore. He's with us now to get a feel for this one. Luke, how you doing today?
How's it going, Joe? Good to talk to you, my friend.
You too, Luke. Well, we're good. We're really good because the Eagles haven't lost in months. 7 straight victories at 2-2. Luke, we were down in the dumps here, and then they haven't lost in 2 months, so we're feeling good. Tell us about the Ravens, Luke. Coming off a big win Monday in the Har Bowl, they're 8-4, but they got to keep keeping pace with the Steelers, who are winning by 10 over in Cincinnati. So good Ravens team, but not even in first place right now in their division.
Yeah, you're right. And you mentioned the Eagles with their 2-2 start. Once upon a time, the Ravens were 0-2. People were panicking here in town, and then they reeled off 5 wins in a row themselves. I think the Ravens, it's a similar story to what we've seen the last couple of years with them. I think everyone sees the talent when they're playing at their best, that this is a Super Bowl caliber team, but they're still apt to having those games with self-inflicted mistakes, penalties, the defense wilting in the fourth quarter. That's still has been part of the narrative for the Ravens. So, they're in good position at 8-4, but as you pointed out, they're chasing the Steelers, who are winning again today. And Kansas City is way ahead of them in terms of trying to get the number 1 seed again. So they know they're going to be playing in the wild card round. So they know they need to keep winning. They also have their bye week next week, which is another big part of this for them. They certainly want to get some rest, but they want to go into this one on a high note, having beaten the Eagles. But should be a great matchup here today in Baltimore.
All right, let's talk about this Ravens team and the details of how they got here. You mentioned 0-2, and then they've been really good since with an 8-4 record. And it feels like now they've achieved on offense the best of everything, with Lamar developing as a thrower along what he does with his legs and the signing of Derrick Henry. Luke, when you think about this offense at Baltimore, is it a running offense or is it now a throwing offense as Lamar, I think he came in today leading the NFL in passing touchdowns this season?
He did, and also leading the league in passing yards. The thing about Lamar Jackson, even going back to his first MVP season, the rate stats always looked great, but it wasn't a high-volume passing attack. But certainly they've picked their spots. And to answer your question, I think all things being equal, it's still a John Harbaugh coached team. They love to run the football. They certainly value that. But that said, if a team's going to load the box on them, they're going to throw the ball. And we've seen that as well. So we've seen games like earlier in the season when they went to Dallas, where the Cowboys, were light up front. The Ravens just said, okay, we're going to pound the rock. We're going to run all over you. But they've also seen instances like the Cincinnati Bengals, who really loaded up trying to stop Derrick Henry, did stop him for the most part, but then Lamar Jackson goes nuts through the air. So it's just a very balanced offense. And I think Todd Monken, their second-year offensive coordinator, talks about just wanting to be multiple, wanting to have an answer for whatever the defense throws their way. So, I think you look at it statistically, you'd still err on the side of saying it's a run-first offense, but they will not hesitate. They're not going to run into a brick wall either. If Philly sells out and tries to load up the box, which is something I know they don't do a whole lot of, generally speaking, then Lamar Jackson will throw. But if you do continue to use those light boxes as that Philadelphia defense is more apt to do, then they better be ready to stop Derrick Henry because he can run all over you as well.
Yeah, let's talk about Derrick Henry. Luke, it's interesting. Two teams, and I think there's a lot of similarities. Eagles and Ravens, both smart teams, both use analytics, both try to be ahead of the curve. Obviously, the Harbaugh angle, he was here way back in the day. But they both signed free agent running backs to big deals this offseason. Maybe not market-moving deals, but just no teams wanted to sign star running backs anymore. And these two teams went out there and did it. Henry, for you guys, and obviously Saquon here, what has Derrick Henry brought to the Ravens that they didn't have before?
Well, and you just pointed it out. This is an analytics-minded team. This is a team from the moment that the Ravens pivoted from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson back in 2018. They could run the ball and run the ball at will, seemingly overnight. And I'll be totally honest with you. I wasn't over the moon about the Derrick Henry signing, not because I don't like Derrick Henry, and I've seen what he's done over the course of a Hall of Fame caliber career, but it was very much the analytic-minded thought of, well, you've been able to run the ball with, street free agents they've brought in at times and guys that have been able to run the ball, but he's just given them more volume. He's given them a bell cow, instead of using more of a committee approach as they would with Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins or even going back to Mark Ingram. It's just been those times where if you have the kind of game where the pace, the game flow dictates giving him the ball 20, 25 times, he can do that. He can do it at a very high level. I think he would be the first to tell you he's probably benefited more from playing with Lamar Jackson than the other way around. But Monday night against the Chargers, he had a season high in yards after contact. So, yeah, he's had some games where scheme and defense is trying to account for Lamar have certainly they've worked to his advantage as far as putting up these big numbers. But Monday was an example where the Chargers, they stacked the box more than they typically do. And they had opportunities to bring him down, and he still ran through tackles. So I think it's just added a little more, like I said, a little more from a volume standpoint as far as having that one feature back. And in turn, I think that's allowed them to lighten the load for Lamar Jackson. Yes, Lamar will still have his games where if he needs to run it 12 times for the Ravens to win, they'll certainly do that. But we've also seen some games this year where he hasn't had to run very much, and they've still been able to put up these monster rushing numbers. So I think it's just been a perfect fit. It's been a very mutually beneficial partnership with the Ravens and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it just made sense. As soon as the signing happened, like, oh, yeah, he's a Raven. It just fits the whole thing down there, and he's been really good. All right, how about the other side of the football? Luke, it's odd to look at the Ravens statistically and see their defense as not one of the better ones in the NFL. In fact, it's at times this year, it's been one of the worst ones in the NFL. Have they improved? Where are they? What's the latest on Roquan Smith and his health? Because it feels like if there's a weakness on Baltimore, it's their defense right now.
Yeah, I mean, it has been. Their defense has been better the last couple of weeks, but even just talking about their defense in general, their run defense has been excellent. I am fascinated to see how Saquon Barkley is going to do against this Ravens front seven that has done a very good job. Now, that said, in the same way that you talk about Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley isn't your average running back. So I'm fascinated to see how that works out. But the Ravens have been very stout against the run. Roquan Smith is off the injury report. He's playing. He is coming off of a hamstring injury that he suffered 2 weeks ago, so I think that's worth keeping an eye on. I think that maybe might be more of a question as far as in pass coverage. If it were me, I'd use Saquon Barkley as a receiver out of the backfield a little bit more today against this Ravens front. But the secondary, that's really been the sticking point, to the point where one of their scratches today is Marcus Williams, who has the third highest cap hit on the team. He was benched a couple weeks ago at the free safety position because he had just struggled so much and they'd had so many blown assignments. So they pivoted to Ardarius Washington, and they're now using Kyle Hamilton as a deep safety a little more frequently than they have in the past. They'll still pick their spots to put him closer to the line of scrimmage, but they certainly have used him in that role a little bit more. And it's led to their defense on the back end being a little cleaner. Eagles, much bigger test than Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago, in my opinion, on that front, and a bigger test than the Chargers. I'm very fascinated to see how they're going to approach A.J. Brown and trying to slow him in coverage. But I think this is a very interesting test for the Ravens to see if their defensive improvements with their pass defense and their secondary hold up against this Eagles team that's been on fire. But they've been trending in the right direction. But yeah, you look at those pass defense numbers, it's still left a lot to be desired this year.
How much of what's going on with the defense this year, Luke, is a matter of personnel compared to coaching? Because it did seem like the Ravens lost a lot of good coaches this offseason, with Mike McDonald taking the Seahawks job and Denard Wilson becoming the coordinator in Tennessee. The Eagles kind of had this last year. They had this brain drain of all these good coaches leaving after the Super Bowl run. Ravens had that great year last year to the title game, and it felt like a lot of defensive coaches left. Has it just taken some time? I know Zach, or a young coordinator there. Is that part of what's going on?
Yeah, I think that's been a big part of it. And I'm glad you brought up Denard Wilson, because I think that's been one of the more underrated aspects to the changes on their defense, especially on the back end. Like I said, I think the big one has been Marcus Williams, who, for whatever reason, just has been a shell of what he used to be. So they made the change there. I do think that they also brought in former defensive coordinator Dean Pease as a senior consultant back in like week 5, week 6. They've steadily made some improvements there. So I think it's been all of those things. I think some personnel changes, and yeah, you lose one of the best defensive coordinators in the league and a very highly regarded secondary coach in Denard Wilson. And if you have one of your high-priced players who you're counting on to play well and he doesn't, then that can lead to some of the issues they've had. But like I said, it's been a cleaner back end of the defense the last couple of weeks, and I'm very interested to see if that holds up today against a really, really talented Eagles offense.
All right, Luke, got to get your thoughts on the MVP race. So Josh Allen entered the day as the favorite over at FanDuel, but second is Lamar Jackson, tied for third Goff and Saquon Barkley. Luke, what's your take right now on who the MVP is, and how do you think this shakes out? We haven't seen a running back win it since 2012 with Adrian Peterson, but right now Saquon's on pace for 2,000 yards. The Eagles have won 7 in a row. It feels like this could be a year a running back takes it, but look, if the Ravens fit is strong, Lamar could win his third. What's your feeling on the MVP race right now?
Yeah, I mean, I hear everything you're saying about Saquon Barkley. And I mean, look, I've watched that guy going back to his Penn State days. He's a tremendous talent. I just don't know. I mean, if the Eagles win out, if they run the table and they overtake Detroit for the number 1 seed and Saquon's over 2,000 yards, maybe that's the case. But, Lamar's playing at such a high level, as you alluded to. I mean, he's first or second in just about any category you can find. Josh Allen with, what I think a lot of people think is a diminished supporting cast compared to maybe what he had a couple of years ago around him, has Buffalo absolutely humming at this point in time. So, I'm still, and look, I was a guy who wasn't necessarily banging the table for Lamar to win the MVP last year because statistically it wasn't overwhelming. Maybe, no one really had an overwhelmingly impressive statistical profile, but I just see what he's done this year. He's been even better than he's been in the past. For someone who's won 2 MVPs, that's saying a lot. At this point, I still have to give it to Lamar, but we've got another month to go, Joe. So our curiosity will be satisfied on that front, that's for sure.
Yes, well, let's end with this. We always ask our road guests this because Eagles fans travel very well. I mean, they took over Los Angeles last week. What does it feel like down there as you guys get ready to kick this thing off and you're in the stadium? Is there a good amount of green, or have Ravens fans held on to their tickets and there'll be less Eagles fans than with some of these other road games? What's it look like to you from your vantage point?
Full disclosure, I'm in the back of the press box right now, so I don't have a view of the field from where I'm sitting right now. But looking at the secondary ticket market, knowing how many Washington fans, which is obviously closer, but it's not like Philadelphia is a very far drive away, knowing how many Phillies fans came into Baltimore back in June for the Orioles-Phillies series as well, I'm expecting quite a bit of green here today. I think there's a lot of excitement. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere one way or the other, but I got here quite early, so I couldn't gauge the tailgate scene too much, but based on what I had seen just 15, 20 minutes ago, and usually the road fans are the ones who come into the stadium a little bit earlier anyway, but I think it's going to be a pretty decent Eagles presence here, as you'd expect when these two teams are so close together.
Yeah, and it's a big one too, so a lot of excitement for the game. Luke, really appreciate a few minutes here. Enjoy the game, and maybe we'll do something like this down together in New Orleans for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was just going to say that would not surprise me whatsoever. Expecting a great game today. Take care, Joe.
There he goes. Luke Jones, WNST down in Baltimore. All right, Hugh. So he was saying he expects more Eagles fans than maybe we are. Because I was wondering if this was a game where it wasn't going to be a takeover. Because usually the Ravens fans don't sell their tickets. But he said, yeah, Washington fans took some. Expects Eagles fans.
Yeah, Eagles fans travel well, man. And I would expect that, with the holidays being so close, that there's a lot of people out there that probably want to get away from their in-laws. Probably want to get on the road and
run away to a game.
Run away to a football game or something. So I expect a lot of people to be there. And I mean, as cold as it is for us, those diehards, man, it's not that cold outside. This is perfect football weather for them.
Well, yeah, 40s. It dropped to the 30s by the time the game starts. Yeah, it's not too cold, but it's certainly, like you were saying earlier, it's the kind of game where business decisions will be made. And my favorite part is hearing the roar of an Eagles fan roar when we get in the car. Like when the first call that goes the Eagles' way on my way home, I know right away. Like, is it a takeover?
When you ride and when you hear Merrill and Mike doing their thing, yeah.
I think it was the fumble last week when the Eagles recovered that fumble on the first Rams drive, and it was a roar from the crowd. I was like, oh, it's a takeover. Eagles fans have taken this thing over. All right. Lot to do on the other side, including our predictions, and we'll take a look around the NFL, the scores of the 1 o'clock games, how they impact the Eagles. That's coming up. This is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hey, Eagles fans, this is Merrill Reese. Phones weren't made to be broken, but life happens. So when you break your phone, Verizon in Philly's got you. Trade in any phone from one of their top brands in any condition, guaranteed, and get a great deal on one of their best 5G phones with unlimited ultimate. Switch now and save. Available at a Philly area Verizon store.
Let's boogie into the new year at Parx Casino with the $100,000 New Year's Eve sweepstakes. Starting at 7 p.m., 25 lucky winners each hour will receive $500 free slot play. That's 200 total guests. Groove over to X Lounge before 11 p.m., decked out with your best disco vibes for free slot play prizes. Check out Fish Out of Water and DJ Tonka at 360. Tickets on sale now. Can you dig it? It's New Year's Eve at Parx Casino. This is how you win. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Happy holidays. Welcome to the Nissan year-end sales event. Are you interested in
a test drive? Absolutely.
Great. Well, there's the new V6 powered Frontier. Oh, the Rogue with an available 12.3-inch touchscreen.
All right.
Oh, and the all-new Kicks, which has intelligent all-wheel drive.
Nice.
So what do you think? Finished with all your holiday shopping?
About to be. Toss me the keys. Let's go.
Hurry in for the best deals of the year, only at the Nissan year-end sales event. Now, get a low $259 per month lease for 36 months on Rogue. Available feature, intelligent all-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions. Well-qualified lessees, 2024 Rogue S all-wheel drive, $47.69 initial payment excludes tax, title, and license. Disposition fee due at lease end. Take from new dealer stock. Call 1-888-858-8319 for offer details. Ends 12/2/24.
Howard Eskin here, and get game day ready at your local PA Fine Wine and Good Spirit store with the original Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey for $3 off 750 milliliters and $2 off Jack Daniel's Fire, Honey, and Apple 750s, or a 4-pack of Jack and Coke or Jack and Coke Zero Sugar, now ready to drink in a can for $1 off. Jack Daniel's, born for the tailgate, and please drink responsibly.
Especially 7% ABV. Jack Daniel's Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniel's and all the percent of registered trademarks of Jack Daniel's Properties Inc. Coca-Cola is a registered trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
If there's one thing I learned from playing, is that a winning team is built on a solid foundation. The same goes for your home. That's why you need Groundworks on your roster. Philadelphia's experts in basement waterproofing, foundation, and crawl space repair. Their team of dedicated professionals is here to tackle any challenge. Whether you have water in your basement, sagging floors, or smells coming from your crawl space, Groundworks is here to protect your home for game day and beyond. Book your free inspection today at groundworks.com.
We are all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. It begins with a game plan, preparing yourself for success on and off the field. Not just thinking about short-term wins, but long-term goals. And the best part about winning is winning as one. Build your tomorrow with Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
Pennsylvanians are creating their own soundtrack. Thanks to PA Lottery Scratch-Offs, excitement's back. Pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters, no matter your choice, scratching's always in order. With big top prizes and second chance drawings, thrills await. They're out there calling. If it's excitement you seek and you're looking for action, play the PA Lottery. And keep on scratching. Must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
Breaking down Eagles-Ravens Monday on the afternoon show, 2 to 6 on WIP.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon, a 4:25 kickoff down in Baltimore with the 9-2 Eagles and the 8-4 Ravens. All right, we'll get to our predictions a little bit, but first, we got to set the scene, then we'll kind of go over what's going on in the rest of the NFL as the 1 o'clock game's coming to an end here. Elliot, what's it look like? I know you were down there with the Fans of Philly trip, and usually we get a lot of Eagles takeovers here. I wasn't sure what this one looks like because, Ravens fans tend to keep their tickets and go to the games, and they're a pretty good fan base. Is this an Eagles takeover? What's your vantage point?
Yeah, no question the Ravens are a good fan base, but it doesn't look like that's going to matter today when it comes to the crowd. I'm sitting here in the Maryland Mike booth looking out at the stadium, and there is already tons and tons and tons of Kelly Green jerseys in the crowd.
Like you said, family members.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. But fans of Philly, as you mentioned, I know they brought a few buses down of fans, and last night being out in Baltimore, there was plenty of green. So I expect another takeover today.
All right, well, that's good. I always like when I'm driving home after the pregame show, I could tell on the first big moment of the game if it's a takeover or not, because like Merrill's drowned out by the road crowd, and I'm like, oh, it must be a takeover. So maybe another one of those today. All right, let's go over some NFL stuff and from the games on Thursday to today and how it all impacts the Eagles. One thing I think we have to talk about, Elliot, and I saw your video the other day giving thanks for Nick Sirianni. Sometimes you watch the rest of the league and you get a better feel for good or bad, right? Which you have with your own team. And like compared to Matt Eberflus, Nick Sirianni is Belichick and Tom Landry and Don Shula and all of them. That was some of the worst coaching, Hugh, I've ever seen in my life on Thanksgiving with the way the Bears, and they might have lost in overtime anyway, but they destroyed their chance to even kick a game-time field goal. They ruined your parlay. There was like 30 seconds left on the clock when their last play happened, and then they only ran the Hail Mary to end the game.
No, you know what the best was is when they asked Eberflus in the press conference, what was he thinking? And he said with a straight face, he tried to defend that.
Yep.
And then there were leaks coming out the locker room where the players, like, man, what the hell are you doing? They treated him like Will Levis was treated, what was it, in week 3? When he threw that ill-advised pick and the coach was mouthing, what are you doing? It was the same thing in the locker room with the players. He couldn't have survived that, man. That was just horrible, the clock management that he showed in that game. Horrible.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at Sirianni's time as an Eagles head coach, there's a reason since 2022 he's won 80% of the one-score games that this team has played. By far the best mark in the NFL, about 10 percentage points higher, I believe, than any other head coach currently coaching. So you're right. You watch that Chicago game, and it wasn't just the end of the game. There were tons of little things on that drive. The punt returner lets the ball go to the 1-yard line, putting them 99 yards away from what they needed. There's a personal foul or, unsportsmanlike conduct on Keenan Allen. So, we talk so much about like scheme and is it Kellen's offense? Is it Nick's offense? Most games in the NFL are decided by how the teams handle situational football. And that is absolutely something I know Nick Sirianni stresses a lot to his players throughout the week.
Well, unfortunately, that one, and Eberflus, by the way, was fired on Friday. That one hurt the Eagles because, Elliot, that was, the Lions looked vulnerable. And maybe they'll drop a game or two the rest of the season because they're having some defensive issues. But that was one that looked like even though they were up early and they kind of dominated the box score, they could have lost that game. And yet they got another win. So it just, it makes the Eagles' challenge to overtake them a little bit harder. It could have been easier.
If you look, this time next week, the Eagles could be in first place in the NFC. Obviously, the Eagles play today. If they win, they get to 10 wins. Detroit plays on Thursday night against Green Bay. That's a massive, massive game for the Eagles' chances of getting that 1 seed. If Detroit loses, the Eagles have Carolina at 1 o'clock. The Bills would take the field at 4:30 next Sunday against the Bills. I'm pretty sure in second place. So this is a big time next 7 days coming up.
So that game you mentioned, Elliot, is a big one. It's huge, just like obviously because it's the Lions could lose that game because Green Bay's playing well. One thing to note on that is if they both finish 15-2. The Eagles win out and the Lions only lose one more. The Eagles can't win the tiebreaker unless that Lions loss is this Thursday to Green Bay. Like they need the Lions to lose this game because obviously the Eagles, they have that win over Green Bay. So that's one to note there. The other things around the NFL for today, the Commanders. So I was wondering, Elliot, if they were going to just totally roll over. Well, they're not. They're going to win today. They're up 35-19 over the Titans with about 7 minutes to go. So while the Eagles are in commanding position, it's not quite as easy as they're going to clinch next week. It's probably going to take a few more weeks for this division to be fully wrapped up if we get there.
Yeah, when we talk about the rest of the schedule, I think we focus a lot on today and then obviously that Pittsburgh game. And we kind of just dismiss the Washington game now that they're going to win the NFC East. It looks like they've already beaten Washington once, but that's a tough game too. The Eagles have struggled in Washington. It's a gross stadium. You want to talk about a takeover. I'm sure there will be way more Eagles fans there than there will be Commanders fans. So that's a tough game as well. And you're right. I kind of felt like they were going to maybe start to, fall apart. Rookie quarterback, second half of the season. So the Titans are no good, right? So it's not like it's an impressive thing they're doing today, but to put up 35 points, maybe they're going to give one more push at this for the season.
Well, I think it's worth noting the Commanders, while I do think the Eagles are going to win the division, we know they have some tough games today. They have a tough game. The Steeler game, Hugh, was a tough game. Mm-hmm. The Commanders have a bye, and then the only game they play in between now and the Eagles game is the Saints. So, they're probably going to win that game. And then the game on December 22nd could have some impact on the season. We shall see. If the Eagles keep winning, maybe it won't. But that is a big one there. The other thing to note in the NFL tonight is that snow game in Buffalo. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
That's a fun one.
That's awesome. I'm glad I don't play anymore.
Elliot, do you still?
If you want to talk about the 1 seed in the schedule, I think tonight Eagles fans should be rooting for the 49ers, which I know, considering rivalries, you don't want to do that. But the last game of the Lions season, I believe, is against San Francisco. That or it's the second to last game.
It's right towards the end. Yeah.
I know it's one of the final two.
Yep.
You need the Niners to still want to be playing for something in that game. So I think tonight they should root for the Niners to win. And then also the Lions play the Bills next week. Bills lose tonight. Hard to see them losing 2 games in a row.
That's an interesting angle. Yeah, Elliot, because the Niners are still obviously in it in their division. I don't know if they're going to be out of it, but if they lose tonight and they keep losing, and Purdy's got a shoulder thing, it wouldn't surprise me because the coach and GM have job security. If they just
shut him down.
Yeah, they could kind of say, hey, this isn't our year. Let's get the 7th pick instead of the 15th pick. And then that game the Lions have, which we think is a hard one, they could be like 10-point favorites in that game. And then it's that I hadn't thought of that the way you framed it. So, all right, I'll root for the Niners tonight for the Eagles' chances here.
Rooting for the Niners?
Well, you just laid it out.
I mean, I heard him, but I mean, still.
We're laying it out.
Do you want to take that bus to New Orleans or not, right? Like that's what this is
if
about.
that's what it's about, and wear a green and have a green mustache, a beard, I'm with that.
There you go. Get some of those grenades on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, hand grenades.
Yeah, hand grenades.
Did we ever get Elliot's take on what you should do here, Hugh? So
no, we didn't.
All right, Elliot, we put it to a vote, but then we're going to have some say in this too. So, Hugh is 5 weeks away from having to get rid of that beard or dye the beard green for the entirety of the Eagles playoff run. Elliot, what do you think is the better payoff there?
So look, I think if we're being honest, him shaving the beard is the biggest punishment. But as somebody that loves the content game, the idea of him having a green beard throughout the whole run, walking down Bourbon Street with a green beard, I think it's got to be the green.
I like how he said the content game.
That's right.
Play the content.
We get a whole month out of this thing, and then
exactly right. The punishment of the beard is really only a one-day thing. It'll be, but the green beard for the full month. Plus, I think how can they lose? When,
and you know what's funny? Like Joe has it went from green beard to green beard for a month. Like before
I was gonna say, it sounded like that changed. Yeah.
We made sure we threw that in.
You said when you talk about the content game, it always changes. It meanders. It changes.
Exactly.
As we go ebb and flow.
Well, now I'm just picturing we're on Bourbon Street and we can't find you, and then we look out to a distance. It's got to be you, right? How many people
with the green beard?
I mean, picture Hugh on Radio Row with the
with the green beard.
Well, did you go Kelly green or midnight green? I think you got to go Kelly green.
Well, because
right?
I guess because the midnight green, I don't know how rich the green would be with all this
I think
gray.
You got to go Kelly. Yeah, you got to go
what I mean?
Green.
So it just all depends.
I think that's the way. I mean, I know we're putting this to a vote, but it feels to me pretty locked in. You're gonna have a Kelly green beard for about a month here, so we shall see. All right, last thing around the NFL, then we'll get to our predictions for the game and how this thing plays out today. Elliot here, the NFC. It looks like Lions 1, Eagles 2 in some order, 1-2. I keep wondering how it's going to play out everywhere else, but Elliot, I did watch that game Thursday night, the Green Bay game. It does feel like they're clearly the third best team, especially with the Niners being down right now. I feel like we haven't talked enough about the Packers, and we saw them in week 1, but they feel to me like the third team in this mix.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And especially you talk about that week 1 game. I mean, that feels like a lifetime ago. In Brazil, the teams were so different. Like, look, they won that game, and it was important for the tiebreaker if that comes to it. And the game will be in Philadelphia, likely, if the two teams play. So that matters. But, yeah, Green Bay, a ton of talented receivers. Jordan Love, we've seen, can get hot in the playoffs. And the Packers have already played the Eagles, and I thought their defense, for the most part, wasn't that bad. They have the experience of playing Saquon. So, yeah, Green Bay would be a big-time matchup if the Eagles have to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, and seeding's going to matter because, if the Lions and Eagles have the 1 and 2 in some order, someone's going to have to face that team in the second round. I would love to have Green Bay.
Well, there is the argument of the 2 seed there, then.
Yeah, right. If Green Bay has to go to Detroit, let them knock each other out, and then the Eagles, maybe have the Cardinals or the Seahawks or someone, for a chance to go to the title game. That feels like it could be more advantageous. All right, guys, let's talk about what happens today. The Eagles and the Ravens. Hugh, talk us through it. Eagles are a 3-point underdog. They haven't lost a game since September.
Yeah.
Does it continue today? Hugh, what's your feeling on this one?
I'll tell you, I feel like this game is going to be one where business decisions are going to be made. I think we're going to find out a lot about our young Thundercats today, about this defense and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is probably looking at this defense because we're a little smallish, and he's probably thinking that he's going to run downhill all day. So it's going to be a huge challenge. But to get to my prediction, I'm thinking this is going to be a low-scoring game, Joe. I really, really do. And when I say low-scoring, it's probably going to be in the 40-point, 50-point range, somewhere like that.
Like for the total?
Total.
Yeah.
Total points.
So I wonder where he got that total from.
What?
No, just kidding.
We know you're
putting $2 down. Yeah,
high roller Hugh over here.
Talking over/under in the prediction. I like it.
Hey, Elliot, quit putting my business in the streets.
He's like Al Michaels, secretly talking about the spread in the over/under.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Quit putting my business in the streets.
All right, so lower scoring.
20, I'm thinking 27-21. Eagles.
27-21. That would be an under and another victory for the Eagles. Now, here's the question. Is it as physical as it was yesterday when Jason Avant stole the Michigan flag back?
Listen, I text Jason. And I asked him.
He'll be on the postgame show, by the way.
Yeah, and I asked
he
him.
survived.
I was like, the family is asking because I'm on the text thread with all the guys that I play with. And I asked him, I said, the family's wondering if you're okay. We're doing a wellness check. He was like, yeah, I'm fine. And I just was like, just don't get hit by one of them young kids, man.
Elliot, did you see that yesterday?
I did. That was, you know how they always joke Philadelphia fans are everywhere? Yes. That was a big-time Philly guy out there in Michigan.
It was wild. I saw it and didn't realize it was him at first. I was like, wait, that's Jason Avant? That
Yes.
was awesome. He will be on the postgame show, Rob Ellis. All right, Elliot, what are you thinking today? How does it play out?
Yeah, Lamar's stat of, I think it's 23-1 against the NFC. I think that's because overall the AFC is a tougher conference than the NFC. But I think this Eagles team is tough. I don't think you can just walk into Baltimore and that day decide you want to be tough. I think they have been a tough team for the past 2 months. I think they're capable of taking this hit from Baltimore and hitting back. I've seen them be resilient this year. I think they'll be resilient today. I think they have the better defense. I think they have the better offense. I think they have the better coaching staff. And when you have those three things, you're going to win a lot of your games. So I'm going to pick the Eagles to win this one 27-24.
I like it. All right, I've decided to trust this Eagles defense until they let me down. I'm going to pick them to win this game today because I feel like that's the biggest disadvantage on one side. Both teams have big-time offenses. Both teams have stars all over the place on that side of the football. And I just view the Eagles defense at a way higher level than the Ravens defense right now. And I think that's going to be the difference. I will go 24-19. The Eagles win this football game
about
today.
The same.
24. Yeah, we're all the same range.
Same
24-19. The Eagles defense stands up again and brings us closer to Hugh Douglas having a green beard for the entire month of January into February into Bourbon Street. It's going to be a fun one today. All right, coming up, we will have the broadcast with Merrill and Mike and Howard. That wraps up the Verizon pregame. So remember to stay tuned after the game for the PDQ Restaurant Point of Sale Systems postgame show with Rob Ellis and the aforementioned Jason Avant. For Hugh Douglas, Eliot-Shorr Parks, Dave Spadaro, Dave Breitmeyer, Dan Wilson, Austin Yim, Mike Angelino. I'm Joe Giglio. Now stay tuned for Merrill and Mike as they bring you all the action on the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.